Alright, we're live. Hello everyone, and welcome back to more of our life beginnings and always. So we just finished step 1 last stream, and we're going to be heading into step 2 today. Again, for those that don't know me, hi, my name is Susan, and I am an Arctic fox who lives in the Sakura Grove. And with me, of course, is always my lovely boyfriend. Say hello.
Hey.
So, yeah. Last we left off, we just finished up step 2. Well, actually, we're going to be heading into step 2 today. So, now, because of this time jump, we're going to be becoming teenagers for this, so the voicing's going to be different for this, okay? So we're going to sound like we're about 13 years old, so a little more mature for our voices, okay?
Basically, but yeah.
Okay. By the way, sweetie, I was curious. Did you want to try and voice one of the moms, or...?
No, it's fine.
Okay, just because, well, you know, sometimes it's a little hard to distinguish between which mom is which.
Right, I guess. Well,
Plus,
I mean, you do have the accent, so it's like, I think that kind of...
keep in mind, I'm also doing narration for this, too, so...
Right, well, I think there's probably a character or so, a little new male character that may show up in this.
There is.
Or
I can tell you that much,
okay.
so...
Okay, so that can help balance it up then.
Alright, so let's go ahead and head in. So as you can see, my look hasn't... Oh, right, I'm sorry.
From... Yep.
Yep. OBS, you okay? Yes. Good? You good? Yeah, you're good. Okay. So, we're relaxed, but we have a crush on Cove this time because we're both teens now, so... So we'll go ahead and be ready. Yes. Now we can customize Cove for her personality and appearance. We're gonna go for this case both. There's our boy! We had the chance to give him 3 different outfits and whatnot, so... Change up the... And that... Right wrist. That. Necklace. That. Change page. Shirt. Okay, no glasses. PJs. That one. Hair is roughly the same. Change page. Jacket. Glasses. 2. Jacket. 2.
Okay.
Also, he has to keep his glasses for all 3 parts. Oh, I thought you could change it, but oh well. Alright. So we're done with that. So we got him to become warm and studious, which means he's more into studying and he's comforted, so we'll give him a little bit of a 1 tier down for this. We'll put mixed so we can have him both sporty and study-like, so.
Okay.
You ready? Let's go! Oh, should probably save, just in case. August ended, September began, it was time to go back to school. Lizzie groaned and complained the entire first week. She hated going to classes. Still, there were interesting things to do that couldn't be done anywhere else. We weren't sure how Cove felt about it. He enrolled that year. That was like a sign Cove would be staying in Sunset Bird for a while. At school, he was alright, but he kept his distance from the other kids. From what you saw, anyway. Whenever he could, Cove stuck to you like glue. He didn't even mind that much what you did to pass the time, as long as it was together. Sometimes it was like things were exactly the same as when you had first met. But other times, as you got older, you couldn't ignore how the feelings had changed in meaningful ways. That year, the divorce of Cove's parents was finalized. You overheard your parents talking about it, saying Cove's dad got full custody. At first, you worried that meant bad news, and it made Mr. Holden cry, apparently. Then you found out it meant Cove would keep living with his dad. He would only stay with his mom a few weeks of the year. Cove cried too, for different reasons, you thought. It seemed like Cove and his dad might move again, but Mr. Holden decided to stay after all. Mom asked him about it once. He said he didn't want to uproot Cove's life a second time. Mr. Holden tried to get Cove to like Sunset Bird more. He kept encouraging his son to go out and see the place. Sometimes Mr. Holden volunteered you to spend time with Cove. He seemed very confident that was an effective strategy. Cove never talked to anyone about what happened with his parents and withdrew whenever it was brought up. It was hard for him, yet nobody knew how to help. Eventually, Cove stopped crying on his own. He couldn't understand what had changed. But you hoped that you could still help him feel better still, since even without the tears, he looked sad. Maybe one day he could say out loud what he felt inside. After that, it felt like things had gone back to normal, except what was normal didn't stay the same. Years passed and suddenly you were in middle school. You weren't a kid anymore. You were 13 years old. That officially made you a teen, even if your sister didn't agree. The toys and crayons that used to litter every free space in your room had been packed away somewhere, replaced by new hobbies. There were other changes too. Cove's cast got taken off. It was weird to see him without it initially. Underneath the pink plaster ended up being a long thin scar that sneaked across his forearm. Cove's chest puffed out in pride when someone drew attention to it. He also went through a major growth spurt. He was the tallest student in his class for 2 years in a row. Cove would probably hold that same spot again next time. In class, people knew him for more than just being tall. He also stood out because of how well he did with school stuff overall. Over the years, he began to opening up more too. You saw him talking amicably with other kids or the neighbors from time to time. And the only kid that came to visit the neighborhood when you were little, Shiloh, well, he was gone. He and his mom moved back south because of her work, just 1 year after Cove came to Sunset Bird. It had been really upsetting when he left. Lizzie was inconsolable for weeks, but nobody talked about Shiloh anymore. It was a long time ago. You learned some heartbreaking things became less sad the further away they were, even if they had never gotten any better. That was sad in its own way. Things at home were different too. You still lived in the same house and all that, but it wasn't how it was before. Ma dyed her hair purple, wanting something new, and liked it so much she kept dyeing it. You remember calling her Mommy as a kid, but something like that seemed awkward nowadays. You were much too old for the word. Lizzie felt too mature for her nickname too. She insisted on everyone calling her Elizabeth, so you did. Your mom soon gave her permission to go places other than the playground and shopping street when she took advantage, which she took advantage of. You rarely saw her around the old neighborhood. In fact, she hardly spent time with you the way she did before. Elizabeth instead associated more and more with girls from school who were her own age. Maybe the difference between 13 and 15 was greater than the difference between 8 and 10. I mean, yeah, she's in high school. She would be a high school freshman by then.
Yep.
You started befriending new people yourself, like Derek Schwarzer. Schwarzer? He didn't... Suarez. We'll go with that. He didn't live in the neighborhood or go to the same school. What happened was his and Cove's dad struck up a business partnership a few months ago. Since then, Derek would pop up in the area now and then. It seems Mr. Suarez was happy to let Derek tag along to his work, even if Derek had time for it. Without a doubt, everyone and everything around you had changed, in small and big ways. You had too. As time went by, though, it was easy to settle into this new normal. Then, before you knew it, school was over and summer vacation had come again. Ooh, look at our room. It was the first day of summer vacation. The sun was as hot as ever, but you were inside and away from its harsh rays. To be more specific, you were snuggled up in bed sleeping in. It was hot, but you still had the blankets over you, up over your head to block out the sun. You didn't want it intruding on your lazy morning. Unfortunately, you hadn't prepared for an intrusion. From beneath the blanket, you heard the door creak open. You're still sleeping? Wow. Get up. Hold on. I'm gonna turn the music down just a hair.
Okay.
Morning. Morning. Now get up. I will come over there. So much for a lazy morning. Your special boy is at the door, like he always is now. He brought some happy summer gift from Mr. Holden. Mom wants you to take it from him, saying thanks or whatever. You did not like the way she called him your special boy, but you knew by now that saying so wouldn't stop her.
Come on.
So, calm down already. Okay, fine. Elizabeth said nothing else and left, having done what was instructed of her. You rolled out of bed, stretched your arms up high and yawning. Time to get ready. You sat yourself in front of the mirror in the far corner of your room. So as you can see, also screams how tall or short you are, so... average height. Cole was really tall, Derek was kind of short, and you were pretty much the exact height that someone would expect for a 13-year-old. You were liked your height. It suited you well, in your mind. Then you put the finishing touches on your outfit while ruminating on the situation. Careless as they had been, Elizabeth's words piqued your curiosity. You planned on going over to see what Cole was up to today, so this worked in your favor. It was when you spotted your reflection that you realized you were smiling wide. You were looking forward to seeing him. You left your room, taking an easy time down the stairs.
Oh, metal lock.
Step 2. Second chance.
That.
You spotted Mom first, reclining on the couch. She held a magazine in her hands, which she was pursing through. Morning, Mom. She looked up at your greeting, a smile instantly appearing on her face.
Thanks.
Good morning, Susan. Thank you for coming down. Ma's at the door with Cope. He can't stay over today, unfortunately. Why don't you go and thank him before he leaves? You nodded and made your way to the front of the house, just as she said. Ma was there making conversation. She must have heard you because she looked over her shoulder.
Oh?
Oh, look who finally made it. Morning, sleepyhead. Ma reached forward and you knew she was about to pat you on the head. She was taller than your average, so you were little in her eyes despite being a typical size for your own age. You happily let her do it. That type of small affectionate exchange was nice. She placed the whole of her hand on top of your head for a second before lifting it back up. Ah, you're the last one down today. You know that? Morning. That's all. You really are a sleepyhead right now. With a small laugh, Ma stepped aside. Cole was just as you remembered, exactly how you came to know him to be. Oh, look at our boy. He leaned uncomfortably to the side in your doorway as the long strands of hair idled driftly with the breeze. His features were pinched in embarrassment and he shifted from one foot to the other. He was holding what must be the much talked about gift. At first glance, you figured it must be a bouquet of flowers, and he gave it a real look. No, instead it was carefully cut fruit. It made a lot of sense it was actually from Cole's dad. You had to suppress a laugh at this showing. You couldn't imagine many folks buying that sort of thing for their own personal enjoyment. That kind of arrangement was built for the presentation, likely to impress whoever was inevitably going to receive it. It seemed no matter how long he lived here, Mr. Holden would keep going out of his way to be neighborly, and Cole would always be roped into participating. At the sight of you, Cole smiled, but there was some nervousness to it.
Hey.
He smiled back. Maybe go a little bit higher with the voice. It is more mature, but he hasn't fully gone into puberty, you know.
Gotcha. Oh, okay, it's kind of a weird thing.
Well, he's not. It'll go deeper when he's in the next step.
Yeah, no problem. Okay.
Couldn't help thinking to when he first met Cove and how you became such good friends. Lately, though, you're starting to have different feelings for him. Hey, it's nice to see you.
Yeah. Yeah, you too.
Yep, that's better.
Okay.
His grip on the base of the gift tightened and your heartbeat sped up. Even if neither of you had spoken about it, both of you were aware something new was growing in your relationship. It was already shaping out to be another long summer. The best part was that the two of you had plenty of time to spend together and explore what was developing. His awkwardness over the task started to creep back in, so Cove nudged the gift closer to you. He was ready to be relieved of it. Your hands brushed over his just slightly when he took hold of the base. He flinched enough for you to notice with certainty that he noticed it happen. You couldn't help but smile to yourself. And with that, the gift was accepted.
I hope you... so kind of like this a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. I hope you and your family like this.
It's a pretty good gift. I think so, anyway.
He smiled earnestly.
Dad spent a lot of time picking out the best size and design. There were so many options to choose from.
Thank you. Could you tell your dad we love the gift?
Yeah,
Mr. Holden's behavior was really different from any neighbor you'd ever had, though after 5 years you were used to his antics. And you since made up your mind on what your opinion was. He was great. Though there were some things people didn't like about Mr. Holden, you didn't mind them and liked him quite a bit. Your thoughts were quickly interrupted by a shout. I think this is Derek.
Oh, okay.
there you are.
You shared a confused look with Cove. Both of you stepped through the open door onto the neighborhood street. It didn't take long to locate the source of the noise. You spotted Derek just a few yards down the road. He ran up to you. You were happy at the sight of him. Derek was certainly a welcome guest in your neighborhood. It was a pleasant surprise whenever he showed up. After stopping a couple steps away, Derek hunched over to catch his breath. Then he looked up with a wide grin.
Hey.
Hey.
Oh.
Hey, guy and gal. I was just at your house, Cove, but no one was there. Should have figured you'd be at Susan's place. You ever spend time in your own home, or you always just there?
Derek laughed at his own joke. He either didn't notice that it embarrassed Cove, or the embarrassment was what he was actually laughing at. Derek turned to you. He was going to say more when his eyes widened and he gasped.
What's that?
He followed his gaze, unsure, then he realized what he meant. You were still holding Mr. Holden's gift. This? It's kind of like a bouquet of flowers, but made out of fruit.
Nice.
Nice. Can I have some?
It's a gift for my family. I can't give it to you. Derek pouted at your words, not hiding his disappointment.
Aw, okay.
Then he nodded his head as if to clear it.
Anyway, that's right. I came here 'cause I needed to say something big.
He paused, possibly for effect.
There's some other kid here in Sunset Bird.
Cole was surprised, as you were, by the news. Such a reaction made sense. No one around your age has moved here since Cove did 5 years ago.
Were they with their family? Maybe they were cutting through. Nuh-uh. The new kid was all by himself, just walking.
Did you talk to him?
Nope.
Nope. I came to report the sighting right away. The kid had green hair, glasses, was pretty small, and seemed really upset about something. I hope he didn't leave.
You blinked. Slowly you looked over to your longtime neighbor. That sounds a lot like you, Cole, when you first got here anyway.
It kinda does, doesn't it? That's weird.
He sounded almost fond, a small smile playing on his lips. Derek snickered good-naturedly.
I can see that really well. Now that you say so. What'd you say? Let's go find Clove's look-alike. Should I meet him? Sure. I'll do it.
Sure, I want to see who this person is. Derek grinned, then he pointed down the street the way he came.
Last I saw him, the mystery visitor was going this direction.
Nothing else needed to be said. The three of you were off, with Derek leading the way. Derek brought you to the beach, as a trio, you made your way to the shore to the old playground. You walked the familiar path in a comfortable silence. When you were almost there, you spotted the kid in question. His bright colors almost shone like the beacon beneath the rays of the sun. You scuffled around, kicking up the sand as he paced. It was true, he certainly seemed upset, but you didn't think he was sad, like you had originally pictured. No, with his erratic movements and scrunched-up expression, he came off angry. You started to have doubts about this expedition. Maybe it'd be better if you leave him alone and let him sort himself out. Derek didn't feel the same. He waved wildly, calling out to the boy.
Hey, guy! Over here!
Oh,
This is a guy too, by the way, so have fun.
I think I got a perfect voice.
The kid whipped around, an impressive scowl carving deeper onto his face. His eyes were tired, but a strong hostile energy still radiated from him.
What? What? What is it? What do you want?
The sharp tone made Derek flinch. He shifted on his feet.
What's your name? Jeremy. Was that it?
No.
No. I'm Derek. That's Susan and Cove. We were just walking around and saw you. We wanted to say hi.
There aren't a lot of kids our age in the neighborhood.
Yeah, so, it's cool to see someone else here.
Strangely, Jeremy grew furious by her response. If steam could erupt from a person's ears, it would have happened then.
They did bring me somewhere stupid. Of course, I knew it. What?
My parents.
My parents. They're the ones who brought me. I didn't walk to this town. Can you not figure that out on your own?
Right.
Right. My dad brings me to Sunset Bird too. And he has to come for work and all that stuff. It's not bad.
That earned him a glare from Jeremy. Derek winced beneath it, glancing away. It was a struggle to remain friendly with this Jeremy guy.
I wouldn't want to come here for a real vacation probably either. That's an understatement. This doesn't count as a vacation. It's a waste of time. Sure, no thanks to those woke people. My parents' family's nearby. We just had to come see them.
Nope, you're right, sorry.
Oh, okay. Wokeness. If they're your parents' family, doesn't that make them your family too?
I guess.
I guess.
Also, if they have like short voice lines, you don't have to voice it, okay?
Oh, okay.
Just saying. Because there is some dub in here, but not a ton of it.
Okay. That's a pretty good reason to come by. Did you want to go somewhere else? No.
Jeremy crossed his arms with a huff. He turned away.
They should have gone by themselves, since they cared so much, and left me home. And then I had to be by myself. What the crap? It makes no sense. They're the only ones who don't know how to do anything, and I'm the kid.
You kept quiet. You had no idea what to say to this, so you just stayed silent. Jeremy didn't even notice, too, focusing on ranting. Excuse me.
Yeah, no problem. I'll read the line.
How do they always make some vacation worse every year? I blame it on the woke Tumblr users.
What are you talking about?
Shut up.
I'm back. Sorry.
Welcome back.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
It's all good. I just did the line.
You turned to Cove, lowering your voice.
Two of you aren't that similar after all.
Jeremy must have had good hearing, though, because he caught the private exchange and scoffed.
Stupid.
Of course we're not similar. My eyebrows aren't stupid. Shut up.
Cove's cheeks flushed crimson at the insult. You couldn't be sure if it was out of embarrassment or anger. Maybe both.
Come on.
Don't listen to him. They're really unique and special.
Cove smiled weakly.
Special because of how ridiculous they look, maybe.
He patted Cove on the shoulder. Cove gave you a watery look in exchange for the silent support. Trying to talk to the rude boy clearly wasn't going to go anywhere.
Wow, what is wrong with you?
Instead of taking offense, Jeremy only parroted Derek's words in a nasally voice.
Wow, what is wrong with you?
Okay,
This is dumb.
Jeremy stuck out his tongue and sulked away, throwing more sand everywhere he went. You watched him go hunched over until he became a speck in your vision. Silence reigned in his wake. The three of you tried to process what just happened.
I can't believe it. What a mean kid.
Derek wasn't kidding, and by the sound of those earlier complaints, the new boy Jeremy was going to be in the area for at least a little while this summer. Derek sighed in dismay, plopping onto the ground. He followed, and Cove did too shortly after. There wasn't much else to do.
This sucks.
I was hoping we could meet someone fun, hang out maybe.
He shook his head. After a moment, he slowly turned to you with a hopeful expression.
But you know what would really improve the day?
What?
He didn't respond. Instead, he used a hand to point right at the fruit arrangement that you were still holding. You had completely forgot about it during the mid-drama that unfolded. You got used to the wait. Glancing over to Cove, you noticed he was eyeing the fruit. He must want some too.
I need to save it.
Okay.
He staggered, still staring at the glistening fruits, but he didn't insist further.
Yeah, it is a ghost
A ghost one.
Yeah, it is a gift for the Sakura family after all. They should be the ones who get to have it. Sorry for asking.
It's fine.
Quiet once more descended upon your group. Cove turned towards the ocean, the peaceful expression on his face.
Hey, you do remember the Land Before Time? That fruit thing makes me think of it. The dinosaurs all liked the leaves, they were shaped like stars.
I think that's getting hard.
Tree stars?
Yeah.
Yeah, chopping leaves looked so delicious when they did it.
I never seen it.
You should. It's great and really sad, but still great. Plus, it's about dinosaurs.
Derek didn't say anything further about dinosaurs or otherwise. The next few minutes, the three of you watched the waves crash onto the shore.
Hey, Susan?
Yeah?
The two of you met eyes casually.
Thanks for what you said back then. It's nice not everybody thinks like that guy.
Oh, it's okay. He was just being a jerk.
Derek chimed in strongly.
Don't listen to it, Cove. He's the problem. People shouldn't say those kinds of things. Yeah.
Derek then leaned back on his arms. He contemplated the sky with a content sigh.
So, are you both ready for summer break?
Yeah.
Good on you. Wish I could say the same. Feels like there's a lot to plan for.
Hmm?
And what about you, Cove? Are you ready? I think that depends.
Before he could say anything else, the light atmosphere was shattered.
Hey!
Hey, Susan!
Glanced over your shoulder to see your sister. She strode closer and closer, appearing none too pleased.
I've been looking all over for you. Ma said you and Cole ran off with the thing Mr. Holden brought for us.
She leered over over you with arms folded.
So, where is it? It's fine, and right here.
You turned your body to face her and held up the bouquet, proving that it was in one piece. She inspected the fruit and made with a small frown.
Okay.
Alright, looks good. But if all you're doing is sitting around, you better take it back to the house now. It's not just for you.
She grinned tauntingly, slyly glancing at Cove, who sat right beside you.
Even if you're the person who counts the delivery boy, this was up to his dad.
It seemed everybody was in a mood to tease you and Cove today. Within moments, Cove's cheeks flushed red. He picked at the hem of his shirt, suddenly finding it very interesting. He always became nervous when Elizabeth would strike at your relationship.
Get going! This wasn't okay just because you hadn't done anything. Yet.
Oh no, I think I hear the mean kid coming back. We better get out of here.
Elizabeth blinked confused and looked around.
What?
What kid? I don't see anyone.
Derek didn't bother explaining, he just launched to a speed and ran off. Cove hopped up too, gladly taking the opportunity to exit the situation. He followed after Derek, sent a look to you from over his shoulder. He turned and watched Elizabeth. She stared back, brow raised. I ran. Without a word, you two got to your feet and bolted down the beach. Unimpressed, Elizabeth rolled her eyes.
So immature.
She shook her head as she walked towards the house, not bothering whatsoever to follow. Meanwhile, the three of you made it back to the shoreline.
Sorry about that.
Derek pumped his fist, grinning in triumph. Bless you.
Thank you.
We escaped and shall live to see another day.
Yeah, for now at least. I still have to face Elizabeth when I go back home.
You chuckled together, walking further down the beach side by side. You definitely wanted to stay outside a little while longer. You got a bit of a talking to for running off with the gift twice, even though you hadn't eaten any of it. But Elizabeth was also asked to be a bit more patient in the future. In the end, the four of you had split the bouquet, and the event was fully resolved. That was a while ago now. Later that night, you found yourself seated near the kitchen counter. Your fingers drummed on the surface as you waited, your gaze trained on the phone. You were waiting on a call tonight, specifically from your cousin Leandra. You didn't want to miss it accidentally. Your uncle Anne and Lee used to live many hours away. Your families only saw each other a few times a year for big occasions. A while back, though, they moved and were closer to you than ever before. You now hung out regularly. With school being out, you're positive she's gonna want to come over a lot. The two of you were the same age and got along well. She used to be really fond of Elizabeth too, but now that your sister had become allergic to interacting with her own family, it tended to be just you and Lee who spent time together. She was your only friend who was a girl. You weren't all that close to any other girls your age. You didn't really have a lot of friends either. Mom always said that quality is more important than quantity when Elizabeth bemoaned your small social circle. You weren't sure how friendship quality was judged, but nevertheless you thought that's what you had with Lee. What you had with Lee was good. Then the shrill ringtone announced an incoming call. You jumped before grabbing the receiver and pressing it to your ear.
Sakura resident, Susan speaking.
You're greeted by a distorted, high-pitched giggle.
What?
Why do you sound so weird? Mom answers the phone like that sometimes. It's supposed to be polite. You should go with hi. That was something a robot would say.
There was static on the end as if Lee was shifting wherever she was.
So, can you believe school's actually over? I thought it'd never be done. Now we don't have to do any of that boring stuff. We get to hang out whenever we want. Speaking of hanging out... Lee, can you wait a second? Let me head to my room.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You got up from your seat at the counter. Luckily the phone was wireless, so you didn't have to worry about any cords tying you down. Your mom's had a rule about not moving the phone unless the call was in progress, which is why you've been sat by its cradle waiting for Lee to call. You didn't like it, but it had to be that way. You weren't the only person here. If anyone could take the phone anywhere at any time, it'd be even a bigger hassle. You can easily imagine the receiver having a new floor of her home in Elizabeth's locked room. But now that Lee had called, it was okay for you to go upstairs to your bedroom and talk to her. You made your way up the stairs, smiling. After you had arrived, you shut the bedroom door firmly behind you. You took a seat on your bed.
Alright, I'm here.
Cool.
Cool. Hey, did you know the girl down the street from me has her own phone now? A cell phone. She doesn't have to wait for someone else to stop her using it or anything.
Wow. Really? Thought of someone having a phone like the thought of someone having a phone that was all their own seemed unbelievable to you.
Right? I wish I had one too, but my parents said I couldn't get my own phone until I'm more grown up. I wish they changed their mind. We could call each other every single day, and no one would be able to stop us. How great would that be?
Really great. We could even stay up late talking about whatever we want. Lee sighed thoughtfully into the receiver.
At least they said I could have it someday. I can't wait.
She sighed dramatically.
I bet I'm not gonna get one until I'm all the way in college.
Squeezing the phone between your shoulder and ear, you puffed up your pillows and made yourself more comfy. It was strange to think of a time when normal school would be over and you'd have to choose whether or not to go to a college. School was such a big part of your life right now. You worked about as hard as most people. You'd never tried much, but you still didn't do that bad. Coasting by had been routine for you. Teachers had warned you that you wouldn't be able to do that forever, but you figured it was enough for now. You felt a lot of pressure to get higher grades than you did last year. Your future depended on it.
Yeah.
You tried to sound engaged, but your mind had been decided to go back to school despite the season. Lee knew you too well to be fooled.
What's up?
You sound so spacey. What's up?
Just thinking about school. Lee groaned.
Are you thinking about how we do? Are you thinking about how we don't have to think about it because it's summer? That's what I'm doing.
Let's make a petition for more vacation time.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody in class would sign it. Maybe some of the teachers too. Though I guess school isn't all that bad. You can do some things there. You can just do more when school's out.
I mean, learning new things can be cool.
I just wish everyone did okay with how they taught things, not just some people.
Me too.
Gym is pretty great, though. There were all sorts of sports stuff during gym.
Oh yeah, it can be fun, sometimes.
It's the easiest way to hang out with people not in the neighborhood.
If I didn't go to school, I never meet anybody new. No one really comes here. Uh-huh. The cafeteria lunches in my school could be better than they had to be, right? You lucky. Mine's boring. But that was all. And that's pretty much everything that's good about school. Okay, point taken.
Alright.
Now, I decree the topic of school is officially closed. We have to talk about this summer first before it's applying the rest of our lives. I got some plans already. Ooh, tell me. I'm gonna visit my cousins. He chuckled, of course. What's something you want to do? The first thing that comes to your head. Spend time with people. People? I hope that means me too. You leaned back in your bed, settling in as you continued chatting with your friend. Even though it hadn't been that long since you saw her and you'd be seeing her soon, you found plenty to talk about. For one, the events of the day, you sat up straighter. Oh, I was with Cove and Derek today, and we met a new kid. Like, at your neighborhood? His parents are visiting family, so it sounds like he'll be around for a little while. I don't know how long. What was he like? Mean. He kept snapping when all we were trying to do was talk to him. He just kept being rude to everyone. But especially Cove. It was awful. I don't think I want to meet him. If you want a boy to stay away before even meeting him, that's an unexpected twist. Your cousin was pretty popular with the boys who knew her. She seemed happy enough to have them around until they started to annoy her. Hey, who are you to talk? You give practically all your attention to boys, or maybe just one boy. I see how much you like, Cove. You got me. Lee laughed at your affirmation, deeply amused. Even though she couldn't see, you shook your head at her, grinning to yourself. There was a stomping noise approaching your room, heralding the arrival of your irritated older sister. She flung the door open, a frown etched on her face.
Come on.
How long are you going to hog the phone? Then, glancing at your watch, you realized that your quick call had gone on much longer than anticipated. Elizabeth held out her hand, the other one lodged on her hip. She noticed the realization on your face. Time's up! With a sigh, you said your goodbyes to Lee. Lee, I have to go now.
Bye.
Okay, see you soon. Tell Elizabeth and your mom I say hi too. He had barely pressed the end call button when Elizabeth whisked the handset from your fingers and began dialing someone new as she strode out of the room. Your mom's voice called from downstairs. Hey, has anyone seen the phone? I'm using it. With that, she shut your door behind you. Silence was left in the wake. That was the only way to your end of your first day of summer break. Sometime later, it had gotten dark outside, and you laid in your bed wide awake. Your window rattled all of a sudden, startling you badly. You flinched, staring over at it with furrowed brows. From your vantage point, you saw only the moon and an open sky. You were confused. What had caused that noise? Frowning, you sat up and moved closer to the window. You might as well find the reason behind the disturbance. To your utter shock, your gaze was met by a pair of familiar ocean blue eyes. Cove? You squinted. Yep, Cove was right outside your window. Your house was very angular, and some parts stuck out further than others, so it theoretically wouldn't be hard to climb around on. Still, just because somebody didn't mean you expected it to ever happen. To his credit, Cove was doing fine. His feet were braced against the section of the wall that jutted out, his arms flexing with the effort to keep him upright. He easily lifted a hand and waved at you from the other side of the glass. You hurriedly opened the window. Cove climbed over the ledge, releasing a breath once he was safely inside.
Hey. Hey, Susan.
Is everything okay? What happened?
I don't think I'm okay. I know that it's late, but I didn't know what else to do. If I ring the doorbell, I knew your moms would answer, and they'd just make me go home. I didn't really want to explain why I was looking for anyway. I don't want. Well, besides, you know what I mean, but that's why did that.
As unexpected as this was, you were touched. Cole felt like you were touched. Cole felt like he could tell you what was wrong.
I might have tried calling or something, except my dad was on the phone.
Cole suddenly looked very cross.
Dad, he was talking to my mom. Still is, probably.
You raised your eyebrows. Cole had eavesdropped on his parents' phone conversation? He didn't comment on him eavesdropping. There were other things to talk about.
Are you going to stay with your mom for a while again?
Every year, Cole was sent to live off with his mom for a few weeks. When it happened varied. Sometimes he would go during winter break, but usually he went during summer. Even though it was hard news when you found out he was leaving and you missed seeing him those weeks, you understood. To your surprise, however, he shook his head.
That's what I thought too, but no, that's not what they were saying. My dad asked my mom not to have me leave this year. He said she could come stay with us here.
He waited for him to continue. He didn't. The conversation abruptly dropped off. He couldn't help but stare at Cole. There was a complicated mix of expressions on his face.
Well, what did your mom say?
She told him she'd come. I know she's coming soon, before school starts.
Oh,
You had heard Cole talk about his mom a lot over the years. He'd tell you about past memories or what happened while he was visiting her. Still, it was one thing to hear about someone and another to actually meet them. Very soon you were going to see Cole's mom in person. You were taken aback by the news, so you can only imagine how Cole felt. You looked over at him. He was pacing across your room, his features pained with dread.
Before, they'd barely stay in the same room long enough to have lunch. Now we're gonna be all together again, the three of us, after all this time, just for a few weeks. I know I should probably be happy that they can talk to each other now, but I'm still not. I'm just confused and freaked out, and now I feel really bad for feeling this way.
Susan.
It's so...
His fist tightened and his eyes became misty.
I shouldn't keep getting like this. It's been a long time already, and I'm not a little kid.
Though he wouldn't meet your eyes, you knew he was waiting for you to say something.
I'm sorry, Cove. You know I'm here for you.
The tense line of Cole's shoulder eased.
Thanks. That makes me feel a little better. Like I'm not freaking out for no reason.
A momentary silence fell over the two of you. You remember how the day started. You had woken up eager for summer vacation, but now things seemed to go so crazy. The mini debacle with Mr. Holden's gift, the new addition to the neighborhood being so rude, and as if that wasn't enough, now Cove's mom would be living with Cove and his dad again. Your whole life was kind of like that, it seemed. Complicated and hard and different. Why couldn't things just get better with time?
Susan?
The sound of your name, said quietly, pulled you from your thoughts. Cove gazed at you, concerned.
Are you okay?
No, I'm not.
I get it. At least, I think I do.
Cove grinned reassuringly. It was small and delicate, but you knew it was genuine. Moonlight from outside cast shadows across his face and lit up his eyes. They seemed to sparkle with his smile. Just that one look brightened your mood somewhat.
No, I think I don't want to talk anymore about this.
He looked away, his lips sitting into a line, and rubbed at his arms.
But I kinda don't want to go back home either. Could I stay a little longer, just doing something else?
He appeared equal parts hopeful and vulnerable. How could you possibly turn him away?
I gotta, of course, you can always stay here, Cove.
You held his gaze confidently, hoping your words got across to him. Cove perked up at your response, a smile appearing on his face. He immediately took a seat on your bed, not afraid to get comfortable in your room. You felt a little better at the sight somehow. You still had a lot of worries, but you were glad he was here. And not just tonight, you were glad he came into your life in the first place. That was a change you never wanted to undo. It felt totally natural to let him into your little world. That initial friendship had deepened so much over the past years, and you were certain there was room to get even closer. You joined Cove on your bed, taking a seat across from him. He smiled at you again, but you could tell this time it was half-hearted. He was still easy to read. Though he didn't want to talk about his mom and dad, he must be thinking about what happened and what was about to happen. I gave him a hug. You moved closer and wrapped your arms around him. It wasn't much, but you hoped the contact helped even a little. Cole rose up, startled. After a moment, his arms came up and returned your hug. The two of you remained like that for some time. He might have mumbled something to you, but it was too quiet to tell what it was. When he pulled back, his expression had softened into something more natural. Conversation was stilled and broken off by silence at first, and both of you were able to get into your usual candor. As your secret hangout session stretched on, you thought that you truly wanted to keep having moments like this with him. You hoped the day would never come when life decided the two of you would have to part ways, and you knew Cole felt the same. You opened your tired eyes, groaning as they adjusted to the bright light that was streaming through your window and warmed your peachy skin. With a loud yawn, you rolled away from the sunlight and blinked a couple of times, clearing the sleep from your eyes before realizing with a start that it was actually morning. You couldn't remember even falling asleep. Cove had crept through your window during the night, and the two of you spent time together trying not to wake your parents. You must have fallen asleep while you were hanging out, but couldn't put a finger on exactly when. You wondered how late Cove had stayed before heading home. You rubbed your face and yawned again, contemplating whether you should get out of bed and get ready for the day or stay snuggled up for a little while longer. Until your gaze landed on an instantly recognizable mop of pale green hair, and you bolted upright and gasped in surprise. He never left. He was still there. In the morning.
Bruh.
He froze. Your muscles refused to move an inch, and your eyes widened as you stared at Cove's sleeping form in absolute shock. If your mom found out he had slept there the entire night, you both would be in big, big trouble. Realizing quickly you needed to get Cove out of here before your moms or Elizabeth walked in and found him, you willed your body to get a move on and swung your legs over the side of the bed. You shook his shoulder. After giving him a firm shake on the shoulder, Cole's eyes flew open and he woke with a start. He scrambled out of the way as he abruptly jumped to his feet before almost losing his balance and falling back down. He recovered just as quickly and faced you
Indignantly.
Thank you.
Hey!
Wait, what was that for?
Shh!
What?
Situation dawned on him too before he even finished the word. Cole blinked at you a couple times, his eyes growing in panic as some thought that only he could hear settled in his mind.
Oh my god!
Oh my god, I fell asleep.
You weren't exactly sure what to do as you watched Cole pace your room, looking around frantically. Cole's hands flew to his face, letting out a sigh of relief when he found his glasses right where they were supposed to be. Despite that, he hadn't calmed down completely. The atmosphere was still frazzled.
Settle down before moms hear you.
Cole nodded, his shoulders tense as he fixed you with a firm stare with his turquoise eyes. Letting out a heavy sigh, he ran a hand through his hair in exasperation. He couldn't look at you again as he spoke.
I'll see you later.
You were confused by how all this played out, but you hoped that was true.
Right. Bye, Cove.
At that, you were suddenly wrapped up in a tense embrace. As panicked as he was, this seemed to be something he couldn't forget about before leaving.
Thanks again. You're a good friend, Susan. A really good friend. Okay, now I gotta run.
He finally whispered the words into the top of your shoulder. It made you feel tingly. But you were to let go before you had a chance to respond or even fully react. In a matter of seconds, he climbed over your bed and hopped onto the window. A cool breeze of the ocean rolled off the ocean, fluttering through Cove's hair and filling your room with its salty scent. Cove furiously stepped out onto the ledge. Wished him luck.
Good luck, but be super careful.
You weren't sure if he heard you or not, but you noticed, but he kept going along, one foot in front of the other with increasing speed until his form disappeared out of sight. You stuck your head out the window as far as it could go, trying to keep watch. He walked the full length of the ledge before jumping down to the top of the garage, then lowering himself onto the fence. From there, he finally dropped down to the ground. He threw out a thumbs up at his successful climb. He ran up towards his house without stopping, disappearing behind the side of another building. You had to admit that you were pretty impressed at how doable he made that look. Cobb always seemed to have a way of seeming so smooth without even meaning to. With a little sigh, you reclosed your window. Sighing there was nothing more you could do, you hopped off your bed and got ready to head downstairs for the day. Checked yourself in the mirror. You certainly look like you just have woken up with your brown hair sticking up all over the place. Taking a comb from your bedside table, you attempted to fix and smooth down some of the messy strands. You took the stairs, slowly attempting to mask your face into the look of innocence. You were sure that someone would have come into your room if they had heard anything strange, but you couldn't be too careful. You had to play it cool. When you stepped into the living room, Elizabeth was there, tapping her finger on the counter.
Morning, Elizabeth.
She looked over you immediately, her eyes squinting at the greeting.
Why?
Why are you being so weird? You hadn't done anything. Your big sister never missed a beat, unfortunately. You turned off her, a tight smile, and her lips pursed together even tighter.
Susan. Wouldn't you like to know?
Duh.
I would. That's why I asked.
He shrugged noncommittally, determining not to tell her a thing. Further suspicious squinting occurred as she waited for something. But ultimately, she rolled her eyes and you weren't sure if you were in trouble or not. She didn't seem to care enough to dig any further.
Whatever.
And then she walked straight out of the front door, letting it slam shut behind her, and you let out a brief sigh. Elizabeth went out most days to hang out with her friends from school around town. Today you were extra glad for it, though you were also grateful she hadn't left the house any sooner and risked running into Cove. It looked like you were getting away with that. Breakfast was eaten in peace and alone. Your moms were both out by the time you had gotten up. They left you a serving of food from the breakfast they made. Hash browns, an omelet, fruit salad, and there were a few sausage links.
But little did she know it was egg sausage.
As you can see, there's also an option if you like are avoiding meat and whatnot, so I took a little bit of everything, because I like stuff. It was tasty. You appreciated that there was a variety in your meals your mom's made. The day lazily drifted by at home, and eventually your parents returned. You pulled open the fridge again, lingering in the frosty air for a moment or two before grabbing a bottle of ice-cold water and taking a long drink. It was a perfect, balmy summer afternoon, and you decided to head outdoors and find something to do. You hadn't decided what that something was just yet, but you were sure something would pop up to occupy your time. As you were heading out of the front door, you paused for a moment. You hadn't seen Cove since he had left this morning, and you couldn't help but think about what had happened to him. Wouldn't it be bad to go over to his house right now or to call him to check in? You stepped out of your house, still stuck in an internal debate with yourself when a voice caught your attention.
Hi.
Hi, Susan.
Confused, you look over to where an unrecognizable woman was waving at you, a friendly smile plastered on her face. You racked your memory from where you might have seen her before, but nothing came to mind. Not at your school, nor from the country club your moms took you to. You had absolutely no idea who the woman was. The woman crossed the road towards you, and you were a little unsure whether you should stay or go back to the house and lock the door.
Oops. I'm sorry. Was that presumptuous? I heard about you, but I have no idea you have no idea who I am, do you?
You shook your head and she removed her sunglasses to reveal sparkly ocean blue eyes. All of a sudden she seemed a little more familiar.
That's Code's mom, isn't it? Yep.
My son lives here, and my ex, too.
With a bent smile, she lifted a hand to point at the condo across the street from your own house. She was Cole's mom. You didn't know why you hadn't realized it sooner until you got a good look at her.
Because who has green hair normally?
She seemed
Through the...
nice. Her attitude was friendly, and it seemed like she was genuinely happy to meet you. No matter your thoughts on her, you still felt a little taken aback that she had appeared here so suddenly. Cole mentioned she was coming, but he hadn't gotten the impression it would be the very next day. She extended a hand again, this time for you to take, and you studied the manicured fingers in front of your face and the assortment of bracelets that dangled from her wrist.
I'm Kira Price. You can call me Kira.
You shook her hand. You reached out and took her hand. She shook yours firmly, grinning wide.
I'm Susan, but you already know that.
That I do.
That I do.
Cove mentioned you to me before. It's nice to officially meet you, Susan. Cove talked to you about his mom? He never mentioned how he said things about you to her.
What did Cole say about me? Oh, I can't tell you that. I've already said too much. She laughed good-naturedly. You couldn't but be happy about that answer, though. The sound of a door opening and closing caught you both your attentions, and when you turned towards the sound, it was to find Cove exiting his house. His eyes skimmed the ground. Considering just how tall he'd grown, you kind of figured his mom also would have been tall, but she was much more on the short side, for an adult anyway. Cove's height must have come from his father.
My baby.
There you are! I thought you were going to keep me standing out here all day. You tried to catch Cove's eye as he walked towards you, but his gaze was firmly fixed on the sidewalk. When he finally crossed the road and looked up, he gave you a pitiful look. After the way he had acted last night, you knew he must be feeling pretty mixed up about this. You tried to wordsily express that you understood. Cove and I are heading into town to grab something to eat while the snore is at work. Kira beamed at Cove and ruffled his hair, which only seemed to upset him more. You assumed the snorer she was talking about was Mr. Holden. Hey, you should come with us, Susan. I'd love to get to know you better.
Yeah, you should come.
There was a pleading in his tone that you couldn't miss.
Help me.
Of course I'll run it by your parents first, responsibility and all that.
Any whoosies.
It'll give me more of an excuse to meet them, which I need to do at some point. It's important to be neighborly if I'm going to be roosting on the street for the time being. Anywhoosies, let's go.
Kira walked ahead towards your house and you hung back with Cove, who crinkled his nose as he watched her.
Sorry. I'm sorry about her, but I really do want you to come. I don't want it to be just the two of us. Not right now.
He leaned in closer and whispered while checking around for anyone who might hear.
What happened? Did your dad know you were gone?
Cove shook his head and sighed heavily.
Dad was so focused on Mom showing up that he didn't even notice. I thought when I heard them on the phone last night that it was something they were planning for the future. This morning, Dad said it was supposed to be a surprise, and I guess I was surprised. She's gonna be here all summer.
Oh.
You were surprised to hear that too. Cove sighed again, even heavier.
I'll go with you if you really want me to.
He smiled, his shoulders relaxing a little in relief.
Thanks. That'd be cool.
The two of you headed over to where Cove's mom had just knocked on your front door and stood behind her. Mom answered the door after a minute, her eyebrows lifted in surprise at the group she found in front of her. You realized, like you would have no idea it was Cove's mom who was hanging with you. However, after blinking at the woman a couple times and looking between her and Cole, the realization seemed to strike on her. Hello there! I'm Pamela.
I see.
I see you've met my kid Susan, and I'm guessing you've already known Cole for a while. Kira laughed and you and Cole exchanged a look at your parents' weird sense of humor.
I'm Kira Price, Cole's mom. It's so nice to meet you.
A head of purple brown hair caught your eye as Mom popped up behind Mom, squeezing herself in beside her.
We have company. I was wondering what all the commotion was.
She grinned excitedly at Kira. The two of them introduced themselves and shook hands.
Hello.
Hi, Susan. Cove.
Cove smiled at Ma shyly and she gestured a hand towards the living room.
There's no use hanging around the doorway. Why don't you come in? I'd love to, but I promised to take my son out to eat, and I wouldn't want to hold you up with a surprise visit. Oh, I understand. You're welcome to stop by any time.
Of course.
I'll take you up on that offer when I can. Count on it. Would you mind too much if Susan went with Cove and I? My treat. We won't be driving, just a quick walk down the road.
Sure. That sounds nice.
Have fun.
I hope you all have fun.
You gave your moms a look, and they smiled at you fondly. You were happy they were letting you go. You could tell that Cove really needed the support, and you were ready to be there for him.
Marvelous.
Marvelous. Expect us back in an hour or two. Well, I look forward to seeing you again. Take care.
Your parents waved goodbye to the three of you as it backed up onto the street. There was the sound of the front door closing behind you.
I'm pretty positive I saw some restaurants when I was in the taxi, not too far from here.
Yeah, there's a lot of them around.
The answer was straightforward and the tone was curt. Cove was usually more lighthearted than that. Kira put her hands on her hips and smiled at her son.
Well, you sound like the area expert. Do you have any recommendations for a place nearby?
Not really.
Kira pouted him a little and turned to you instead. How about you, Susan? Want to point me in the right direction?
Sure, I have a couple favorites.
You've been to a lot of places in town. There was a couple that stood out from all the rest.
There's a Chinese restaurant that me and my family go to all the time. It's my mom's favorite. There's also a tropical themed place that tries to be sort of fancy.
Both sound like a treat. I'll leave it to you to pick for us, since Cove isn't going through a phase over there. He huffed at her and turned his face away. Chinese restaurant.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Will you show us the way? You nodded, taking the lead of your little group as Cove and his mom followed behind you. Together the three of you left the neighborhood behind. The walk was about 15 minutes, and along the way, Kira asked a lot of questions about the area. Cole was quiet most of the time, so you ended up answering her instead. Kira explained that she lived in a large city, and she loved how peaceful and relaxing everything seemed here in Sunset Bird. The restaurant was as busy as usual, but luckily you were shown right to a small table. Kira lowered herself into the chair while Cole picked the one diagonal to her, not facing her or to her side. It was awkward. Let's see where to start. What would you all like to drink?
I'll get an orange soda.
Noted.
Noted. Susan?
Just water.
Lemon or anything? There's sugar on the table.
No.
Sure. Kira placed the order for your drinks, getting a black hot coffee for herself, and it didn't take long before they were brought to the table and set in front of you. You took a long sip of your drink as you looked around the restaurant. Your small group checked over the menus and you decided to order a usual thing. You had been to this restaurant many times, so you knew what was good and what wasn't already. Kira and Cove didn't need any encouragement for this. They were totally focused on the information in front of them. Soon the meals too were ordered and the menus were taken away. You glanced at the table surface, waiting to figure out what to say. Cove sunk back further into his seat and avoided eye contact. He started to twiddle his thumbs while acting all this was perfectly normal. His feelings today were unignorable. Instead of asking more open questions, he brushed off. Kira had mercy on her son and instead put her focus towards you.
So?
So, Susan, what's a few things that you're into? There's gotta be something you do for fun, especially now that you're not buried in school assignments. As you can see, we got a lot of things.
I like to read manga.
I haven't heard of that style, but I'm sure it's very good.
And I like to watch TV.
It's pretty addicting when you find a good series, isn't it? Movies? Kira nodded her head, and you guess she must like that too. And games are fun. I like to play video games. I don't know much about them. Maybe you could show me sometime. And I like to hang out with people. Hey, it's nice to have friends and family to spend time with. I go to the beach and swim. You must be a strong swimmer since you live so close to the ocean. I find the water a little scary, but I still like to dip my toes in sometimes. And look for seashells.
I keep the best ones I find for my collection.
I'm sure it'll be an incredible collection. Walk along the shore. That's a nice way to relax. I'll be able to spend some time on the shore while I'm here myself. And music. I listen to a lot of it.
I have an MP3 player at home and my mom helped me put some music on. And I've seen some concerts.
Awesome. And I spend time on art. Drawing. I fill out a lot of sketchbooks. And I write things. A fellow writer. Writes great poem expression, don't you think? Kira sighed wistfully, her eyes going soft. I'm really into Cove. Kira let out.
Oh my god.
Kira let out a sudden laugh and Cove gasped beside you. It was dramatic enough to inhale that he almost choked on the soda. You shrugged at the reaction. It was a truthful answer to the question.
Susan.
Cove whispered at you disapprovingly, obscuring the part of his face with a hand, but Kira only waved him off and encouraged you to go on.
We spend time together when we can. I like it.
Well, you have something in common. Kira smiled at Cove but didn't look too impressed by either of you at that moment. And he didn't say anything else.
Thanks.
Thanks. I'm happy to learn more about you. There's so much I haven't heard. Cove leaves the details out.
He was trying not to pay attention, but you could tell he was uncomfortable. Hoping it would clear some of the tension in the air, you decided to ask Kira a few questions of your own. Cove hadn't told you much about her, and you were curious to know more about this woman who wasn't such a big part of his life.
What exactly do you do for work? Oh, I'm a travel writer for magazines and things. I keep people in the loop on what's worth seeing. It's good work. Wow. What do you like to do? I'll spend time with my little boy, of course. And traveling. A real shock, huh? Where do you live normally? In Nevada. Have you ever been there?
You shook your head.
It's a beautiful place. Check it out if you can.
You can't bring yourself to asking another question. That stuff's too personal. It didn't seem to bother her that the conversation dropped off. Cole sipped his soda angrily, slurping at the remaining drink with furrowed brows. He looked ready to run straight out of the restaurant. You weren't sure if coming along had ended up making the lunch better or worse. You smiled at him. Cole eventually noticed you watching him. It took a couple moments, but finally he cracked a smile, and that made you feel a little lighter inside.
Very cute.
You two seem really cute together.
Cole covered his face with his hand and leaned back in his seat.
Seriously?
Sweetie,
Why would you say that?
you blushed. Were the two of you really cute together? Your meals were delivered shortly after that. Everything was so delicious. Even Cove enjoyed his food.
Okay.
Alright, now they're all full and content. Can you please explain why you've had to bug up your bolt all day?
Cove's face scrunched at that.
Seriously, baby, what did Mom do to make you this bad? I haven't even been around a full day yet.
He gripped the edge of the table, refusing to make eye contact. The words he spoke were barely audible over the din of the restaurant.
You could have told me.
She leaned forward not to miss anything else, eyebrows raised.
Told you what?
He finally seemed to find his voice and spoke the thoughts that had been on his mind.
That I wasn't going to visit you this year, that you were going to be coming instead.
Didn't you invite me? You wanted me to here with you? Cove's eyes began to shake and his frustration ebbed.
I do want you to be around, but I didn't know it'd be like this. It's not the same, and nobody said anything.
I see.
Her expression grew tense. She threaded her fingers together and placed her hands in front of her on the table.
We both been gifted another Clifford surprise.
Referring to that as a Clifford surprise almost caught both you and Cope to crack a smile. You also had no idea his name wasn't just Cliff. Over the 5 years, nobody ever called him Clifford until now. She smoothed her hair out, not letting go of her stern look.
The more things change,
The more things, or the more they stay the same.
They let out identical sighs, but smiled weakly at one another afterwards.
I'm sorry.
I can go home, Cove. We can still set up a normal trip to play place before the summer ends.
Cove's lips tightly closed together. He seriously pondered the option.
I mean,
I think I do want you to stay. I miss it when you're not there.
My heart.
She reached out across the gap, grabbed his face, planted a kiss on the cheek. Cove tried to wiggle away.
That's relatable. Stop.
I'm sorry. Sweet young men need to be smooched by their parents. If I don't, they'll take away my mom license.
Oh
Kira,
my gosh.
Kira was completely enthused by Cove's admission, though it told him seriousness did return to her voice when the conversation continued.
Do you want to talk to your dad too?
no.
No.
Cove had snapped the word instantly, but reeled his annoyance back just as quickly.
Sorry. Maybe later, not today.
It's alright.
I understand. We can shelve it.
Thanks, Mom.
Thank you for talking to me, my little mister.
She grinned affectionately at him before turning your way.
And thank you, Susan. Uh-oh, what did I do? You seem to act like a baby with your mom. It's hard to keep things up like that with your neighbor watching everything.
Especially when you care about what especially when you really care about what said neighbor thinks of you. She winked. She just ruffled his hair with a laugh and then moved her hand to tap the end of his nose. And with that was how the issue was resolved, at least between Kobe and his mom. When the three of you left the restaurant, Akira had paid the bill. You walked back to your neighborhood slowly. You had eaten so much by that time you were beginning to feel sleepy. It didn't help that lunch had happened late and the sun was already beginning to descend from the sky. But eventually you reached your street. Someone was there to greet your group upon arrival.
Welcome back, family, and Susan too.
Huh.
Cliff.
Dad.
The two walked past him into the condo without sparing another word. Despite the summer heat, their shoulders were cold.
Oh no, I'm in trouble.
He rubbed the back of his neck with a crooked smile, but his eyes were soft as he looked on after them.
He's so much like his mom, don't you think?
He gave a vague nod. Not sure what was expecting you to do. He nodded back far more energetically.
Alright, have a nice night, Susan.
You too, Mr. Holden.
With that, Cove disappeared to join the others inside. It was your turn to go home now. Summer hadn't started off all how you imagined it would have, though it turned out to set the tone well. Having Kira in the neighborhood was a new experience for not only you and Cove, but also both of your families, and a dull moment was rarely had.
Oh, okay.
They were already in the moments.
I think that took us like an hour to get through effectively the prologue. That is crazy.
Yep. Sorry, I'm just checking my pings.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. They're mostly go live notifications from my from other friends, other streamers that I
Gotcha.
watch, since I'm in like
Okay.
a bunch of other discords.
Okay.
Oh, it's cute. Sean posted a picture with a furry cosplayer, with someone in a furry out with the one of those mascots. You know, the ones that make people make of their furry out OCs or something.
Nice.
It's cute. Sean's actually right now at Anime Expo too.
And so I checked the page. Apparently, there's another DLC coming out for this game.
Yeah, there is. It's for other characters that you can possibly romance.
Yeah, Derek DLC, and I think there was a limited edition Cove plush.
Yeah, I missed out on the Cove plush. I'm sad about that.
Oof.
Anyway, so we're right on the Moments DLC. You have Wave, Growing, Family Dinner Road Trip, Mall Birthday, Summer Work, Escapade, and Soiree. How are you feeling? Are you doing okay?
I'm doing okay. How are you holding up since you've been voicing a bunch of the characters?
I'm okay.
Oh jeez.
I can't sit.
Try and take it easy, sweetie.
That's what I get for standing at work all day. The moment I lay down, I get stiff and I can't walk.
Just, I know, just try and take it easy, sweetie.
Even sitting up is a struggle. Oh god.
There.
Like, I do have my target intent. They aren't live yet, but I know who they are gonna go to afterwards.
I'm assuming it's LZ.
No, actually.
Oh, okay.
Haru. He's doing a subathon. He's doing a subathon today. And I kinda wanted to go
Nice.
support him, so... If he's still alive by the time we are done here, we'll raid him.
Okay.
Oh my god, that hurt. Okay, Wave, let's go.
Mhm.
The family shopping trip had lasted most of the morning, and you still had to unload everything from the trunk before you could go and enjoy the afternoon. You cradled another bag in your arms as you headed towards the house. It was one of the heavier bags from the grocery store, loaded with fresh apples, ripe tomatoes, a bunch of carrots, and even half a watermelon. Ma came out the front door and paused just ahead of you.
It's no trouble.
Need any help with that, Susan? I can bring it the rest of the way if you want me to.
Yes, please. It would be helpful. Ma stepped forward to take the bag from your arms, and you made a quick run to get another bag. You passed Ma again on your way back to the house. She gave you an encouraging grin and rustled her fingers through your brown hair. You set the next bag on the counter. Your older sister began to root around inside the contents with a sigh.
How much is left? Still a few more bags.
With a huff and a puff, Elizabeth continued putting away the groceries, and you retreated out of the kitchen before you could become the target of her bad mood.
Be careful.
Careful, Susan! You had been looking where you were going, but ran into Mom, almost stepping on her toes to boot.
Sorry.
I can give you a pass this time, but be sure to watch where you're going. If you are to run the wrong person, you might get your license revoked. She grinned at the bad joke as you continued through the door. Outside, Ma just organizing what was remaining and putting back any loose objects that had fallen out during the trip. When you stepped to the trunk beside her, she took in a big breath of air, her dress suddenly swaying around in the breeze.
That's a shame.
It's a shame we had to spend the morning cooped up in that shopping center. It's a beautiful day, don't you think?
You tilted your head to the sky, gazing at the clear blue expanse.
I just noticed this. She kind of looks like Yoruichi from Bleach a little bit because of the purple hair now.
I don't know who that is, so...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it is.
Close... Dip. Sorry. You closed your eyes and enjoyed the way the sun warmed your face to it for a few moments before turning back to help Mom with the groceries. Checking OBS.
Oh, hi, Cove.
You noticed Mom wave over to Cove who just exited his front door, his surfboard propped up under one arm.
Let me see. Surfboard and wetsuit. Where you might be off to on this beautiful day.
Cove instantly startled, not having realized your family was also out here. Even though your mom was the one who called out, you were the one he looked at. He tried to settle down again. He dropped across the pavement to properly say hello to you and your parents. It was decided awkwardly since Cove had trouble figuring out how to close the stand to you. The addition of his unwieldy surfboard made the whole thing seem even clumsier.
Careful with that thing. You'll poke someone's eye out.
Mom chuckled and got a whispered reproach from Ma for it.
Pam, please, go easy on him.
Cove winced.
Sorry, Mrs. Sakura.
Don't mind her, honey. It's a beautiful day for surfing. I've been out on the waves in a long time. I'm jealous.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get a few good waves before it gets dark.
Hi, Cove.
He had a relaxed look when Ma spoke to him, but the rigidity came back as soon as you said something.
Hey. Hey, Susan.
Cove managed to grin, and it almost felt like you had butterflies in your stomach.
Wanna come hang out there later?
You noticed the flush of red on his cheeks, but that might have just been from the heat.
Sure, I'll meet you there when I'm done.
Go.
When he spoke again, he tried to contain some of the excitement that was clearly ready to burst.
It'll be fun. You're not done unloading, right? Can I help?
No.
No, this is our job. You go enjoy the beach. Susan can catch up as soon as she's finished here.
Alright. I'll see ya.
Yeah, bye for now.
Cove headed down to the beach with a more skip and a step than normal. It was really cute. You smiled softly to yourself at the thought that you might be joining him soon.
He sure seemed to perk up after you agreed to meet him there. I wonder what that could be.
Why that could be.
Mom!
Now who's giving him a hard time, Lonnie?
Shush.
Shush, it's different.
Mom's face broke into an incredulous grin.
In what way? I'm being supportive, and he can't hear it.
Mom full-on laughed that time.
Lonnie.
You're the worst of us when it comes to this. Honestly, I keep trying to warn people, but they won't listen.
I only want to help. I think it's fair to say he might need it.
Meddler, but you do have a point.
Right?
You narrowed your eyes at their teasing, and they simply chuckled conspiratorially before taking more bags from the trunk and heading inside. Once everything had finally been taken in and put away, you got yourself ready to meet Cove at the beach. You weren't sure how you were going to do. He was surfing and you didn't know how. You said the same thing to your parents, and while Mom laughed a little, Mom gave you a smile.
Well,
You'll just have to go there and see what happens. Cole must have been so excited to invite you that he forgot you don't surf. Or he's hoping you'll go watch him so he can show off. Oh yes, I used to do that. I know, hon. I experienced Susan's situation firsthand and I was stuck on the shore too. You noticed what I was doing? Yes, at the first time. It's not a subtle move. How embarrassing. I was still impressed.
oh.
Aw, thank you. Wow, Ma.
Hey.
Hey, what are you still doing here? Go on, have your fun. You're only young once, but don't do anything I wouldn't have. Okay. And your parents probably hurried to leave the house and head to the beach. Actually, hold on. I'm gonna backtrack just a little bit. Because I think I may have missed something, so...
Okay.
I'm gonna take a surfboard in my room just in case. Yep, there we go.
Have fun.
Have fun, honey. Stay safe. When you arrived at the shore, you were greeted by the crash of waves and the soft call of seagulls. You took a lungful of ocean air and felt your peachy skin warm in the sun. You noticed a small setup with a towel, some sunscreen, and a bottle of water. It must be Cove's. He spotted Cove himself nearby. He hadn't gone out to sea yet. He was just sitting there at the water, sand at the water's edge. His board propped up beside him. He strolled up beside him. Hey, I'm here!
Susan.
He looked up with you with a smile and quickly hopped to his feet.
I was wondering if you were still coming.
Sorry you had to wait.
You don't have to say that. It's okay.
Then he cast his eyes outward towards the waves. Will you give me some tips? Ko surfed more often than you did, so you knew he had some good tips to help you improve.
Yeah, let's get started.
You tucked your board under your arm and the two of you ran into the water together. You paddled out to the sea where the good waves were. The water was cool against your skin.
It's nice.
Not too calm, but nothing crazy. Looks perfect today.
He smiled at you and you couldn't help but smile back. He felt totally content. Until Cole clicked the water a little too hard and inadvertently splashed you. Hey!
Sorry.
He apology didn't come across as especially repentant, as he was practically laughing when he said it. You splashed him back. You laughed but waited for an opening for revenge. The second he looked away, you kicked back, spraying him.
Seriously?
Is that any way to treat someone trying to help? I came out here to teach you.
And I was just following your example. Cove tried to keep a straight face but ended up looking away. The water you flicked at him landed in shiny droplets in his hair.
Then here's another lesson.
He stoked you deliberately this time. He used his full leg and an impressive current of water hit you in the face. You lost your balance and scrambled to keep hold of the board. You just managed to stay on, but it was close. Cove winced.
You okay? That wasn't what I was trying to do.
I'm fine, but we should do the real teaching.
Yeah.
He chuckled awkwardly and shook some water out of his ear. With that, Cole started telling you all the tips and tricks on how to stay on a surfboard. He demonstrated both good and bad posture and explained where you needed to put your weight. Like this? You wiggled your body so you were more in the center of your board. Cove nodded.
Yep, just like that.
The little lesson continued and... It had to go slowly, but you got it. Cove did his best to guide you through the process, and by the end, you felt like you had picked up the basics of surfing. Occasionally, he reached out and touched you to be more directly to help get your positions right. It felt nice. But if you acknowledged and you noticed his touch at all, he would instantly pull away. Since you spent so much time working on balancing in stable water, you wondered when you'd actually get the chance to catch some waves. You brought it up to Cove, and he nodded.
If you think you're ready, go for it. You'll do great.
Alright. With that, you graduated from Cove's class, and the two of you were able to surf together more casually, even if he was still better at it. What an afternoon! The setting sun was visible on the horizon. Every time you would look away, it sunk a little lower. The beach was darkening, but still pleasantly warm. You knew that you should get out of the water before it was completely dark in the sea. You rolled one last wave to get back to the beach. There you picked up your surfboard and gave it a quick once-over. Cove followed behind you to the shore. He put his board with his other things and grabbed his towel to start drying off. As he ruffled his hair with the towel, you watched the sunset together. Colors were beautiful in the distance, and the shadows around you deepened.
There was no need for words between you two as you both enjoyed the sight for a moment. Cove broke the silence.
The waves were good today, I think.
Perfect for surfing.
He nodded mildly. He chatted a little more until the conversation truly died out, and all he had heard was the rhythmic sounds of waves. Then Cove sighed.
The day can't be over. Not yet.
He scowled into the distance as the sun exiting the sky was a personal offense.
Don't you think it should be longer?
Yeah.
Both stood up straight in defiance of the approaching darkness.
I'm not gonna go home yet. I want to go somewhere. I don't know.
Cove was still dripping in salt water, so you weren't sure what other alternatives was. Wetsuits were fine for the beach and not much else. It wasn't a good idea to lunge his surfboard all around town either.
Yeah, I want to do something too.
Cove nodded with a smile. Then he looked down the shore with the wide, shining eyes.
There's at least one place that's always okay to hang out in, no matter what time it is. The park.
He nodded. The park was virtually always empty. Even Elizabeth only went there. Even Elizabeth only went over nowadays if she was looking for you. How times have changed. She used to be so protective of the place. In fact, the only person that was a chance of running into them might be that Jeremy kid again. He brought up the idea to Cove, and he cringed, but
Still going. The sun's still there. Little. Staying out as long as it is.
he tagged along.
Okay, let's go.
Cove took a minute to put his stuff in order. He made sure to get it all, though it didn't take much care to shake the sand off. You dealt with your own things. You took time to pack your bag. Two you finished at about the same time. As a final touch, Cove poked his glasses off the beach and put them back on his face. He looked more like himself now. He led the way down to the beach to the park. It wasn't far, so it didn't take you long at all. The sun still hadn't completely disappeared just yet when you made your arrival. Cole stuck his surfboard upright in the sand and tossed his towel over top. By now, the two of you were mostly dry. The summer breeze on your skin had kept you pleasantly warm. Cole finally went over to the monkey bars. He grabbed them, feet flat on the ground, and pretended to go across. He had definitely grown in the past few years. You could barely use the monkey bars yourself. There wasn't much space at all between you and the ground. When he got to a bar in the middle, Cole pulled himself up and up and through. Then he sat on top of the bars, his legs dangling on the side of the bar he perched on. You joined him on the monkey bars. Without Cove's high advantage, getting up there was more difficult, but you made it. You climbed on the side of the monkey bars and pulled yourself up to the top. You settled yourself in between the two of the slats. The skinny belt wasn't the most comfortable thing to sit on, though you enjoyed the height it gave you.
Guess what?
He smiled broadly and raised an eyebrow.
He's not here.
Right, it was true. There wasn't a single sight of Jeremy. Looks like it was just going to be the two of you tonight. Cove hung his head and groaned dramatically. Your eyes widened when he whipped his head back up.
No way.
I can't believe how dumb my parents are for forcing me to come to this stupid place.
You were taken aback and blinked for a second before you realized he was quoting Jeremy. Ugh, my parents don't know anything. Cove chuckled back at you, amused. You looked around. The old park, the streets you knew like the back of your hand, and the beach. These were your stomping grounds. You wondered how Cove actually felt. How much was his joke just a joke, and how much he was sincere just like of his place. Moving had never been his choice.
Do you actually like this neighborhood?
Do you really have to ask that, Susan?
Cove kicked his legs carelessly as they dangled. He smiled softly.
I like it here. I really do. It's a nice place.
He didn't hesitate. There was no uncertainty. That was his genuine opinion.
Well, of course. I'm here after. Wait. Well, of course.
And debating between two.
You're the best thing in this neighborhood, Cove.
Cove blushed and started kicking his legs wildly, like he was running in place. It didn't take long for the day to finally draw to a close. The sun was gone and it was dark. Chatted a while longer, but it was definitely winding down.
I wish days were longer.
I wish this day was longer.
His feet kicked out. It made him look like a pouty child.
Oh well.
Cove sighed. It was time to go home. He hopped down from the monkey bars with a thump when his feet hit the ground. You clambered down the monkey bars yourself. You lowered yourself more slowly than Cove and barely made a sound when your feet reached the ground. Cove grabbed his surfboard and threw his towel around his neck. With his water bottle in hand, he was ready. You both began your trek up the road. It was a quiet night, and you didn't run into anyone else. In what felt like no time at all, you had reached your street. As you walked, Cove smiled to himself. It was a soft expression. You couldn't help but wonder what put it there.
Everything okay?
I just remember when we were younger. It used to be such a big deal to just come home after dark.
You indeed recall. If you got sandy, your parents would have something to say. If you got wet, your parents would have more to say. And if you came home after dark, well, your mom's and his dad better have said it was okay beforehand. You used to need permission for everything. That small comment he made exposed just how much freedom you really had this summer. Cole looked up into the sky, a smile still on his face as the two of you walked side by side, reminiscing. When you came to your houses, you turned to each other.
Thanks for today, Susan.
It was nice seeing you.
Code waved and you both turned around to your respective houses. This was a pleasant end to the outing, you thought.
You went surfing.
Alright. Next one, growing. Early one afternoon, you found yourself in the living room with your family. It was not one of those summer days where it was too hot to go outside, but it was too uncomfortable to do anything inside either. The air conditioner was cranked up as far as you could negotiate it, but everyone was still being pretty lazy. You, your moms, and your sister were lounging around watching while the TV blared on the backdrop, ignored by all of you. You specifically were... perched on the arm of the couch. Elizabeth had claimed the entire couch for herself. It was too hot to argue over the space, so you didn't bother. Elizabeth broke the silence with a loud groan. You glanced over. She was lying on her back over the couch, massaging her cap with one hand.
Ugh.
I feel terrible. I'm dying in this house, and my legs hurt. Mom looked up from the magazine she had barely been flipping through and frowned, concerned.
Could you have could you have strained them somehow?
Elizabeth flailed briefly, then flopped onto her side with a heavy sigh. I don't know. It just hurts.
Sweetie.
Oh, sweetheart.
Mom got up from her seat at the kitchen table and walked over to your sister. She did a light pat on Elizabeth's shoulder sympathetically.
I'm sorry you have to deal with that. Maybe it's growing pains. You could be taller by next fall.
Elizabeth scoffed. She didn't look look impressed by Ma's assessment.
I'd rather be my height forever than deal with this.
Mom walked over too, leaning against the back of the couch.
Kids, they grow up so fast.
Soon Elizabeth will have a home of her own, maybe even with a nice husband and some kids if she feels like it. She sniffed loudly and wiped her eye, but you could tell it was just a bit. You tilted your head. Even though you knew Elizabeth liked guys, it was hard to imagine her with a boyfriend or a husband. She only seemed invested in hanging out with her group of friends, not chasing after boys. Mom must agree with you because she shook her head.
Now.
Let's not exaggerate. She's still practically a child. But if you ever do pursue romance, Elizabeth, you can come talk to me about it.
Definitely. We're always willing to lend an ear. Elizabeth's features contorted in disgust.
No.
No way! I am not talking to my moms about that.
Mom's jaw dropped and she gasped in an exaggerated display of shock. Her hand came out to rest against her chest. Ma only grinned. She didn't look offended by Elizabeth's quick response at all.
It really wouldn't be so bad to come to us. I know what it's like to have a crush on a pretty boy or two.
I don't, but I can listen anyway. Mom snorted at her own joke, while Mom burst into giggles. They were having a little too much fun at Elizabeth's expense. Elizabeth certainly wasn't feeling the amusement because she rolled her eyes and sat up.
Thanks.
I'm going back to my room. I'd rather melt alone. Thanks.
You're welcome.
She strode up towards the staircase, taking the steps two at a time. Your mom stared at her, then she turned to each other with raised eyebrows. Whoops, looks like we scared her off with all that romance talk.
Well,
Oh well, we'll get it next time.
You watched them titter with some surprise. Obviously, your mom's liked women, but you had no idea that Ma liked guys, too. Today was the first time you heard her say something like that.
Ma, I always thought you only liked ladies. You like guys too?
Ma turned to you, happy to bring you into things now that you've spoken up. She smiled and nodded.
That's right. I like both. But I like your mom most out of everyone. She's special.
Ma's smile turned all soft in the corners like it usually did when she looked at her. She pinched Mom's cheek lightly. Mom reached up to cup a hand over Ma's. Even when Ma stopped pulling her cheek, their hands remained clasped together.
You're fantastic.
Thanks, Lonnie. I think most women have charm, but no one can hold a candle to you.
Oh.
Oh, Pamela.
Ma beamed and kissed Mom on the cheek she'd been pinching before. You thought the moment was very sweet. You smiled to yourself at the sight. No matter how often your moms expressed their feelings for each other, it was always nice to witness it. Ma looked back at you, letting Mom's hand go with a brief squeeze. She settled down next to you, and your mom followed soon after.
You know, I'm also here to listen to you whenever you're ready. That offer isn't just for Elizabeth. In fact, I think that talk might be needed sooner for you. After all, you already have someone, isn't that right?
Mom shook her head and elbowed Ma, but it was futile.
Meddler.
He blushed fiercely. Ma only giggled and smiled, not looking at the least bit apologetic.
There's no rush, of course. We can take all the time we need to figure out what or who you want.
It's okay.
Don't think you have to stick with whatever you come up with right now, either. Life's nice like that. It can change and you can learn.
Mom nodded her agreement. The two of us are happy to hear you out, and we may be able to relate better than you think. Still, we won't push the topic, at least most of the time. She gave Ma the weakest scathing look possible while being unable to stop grinning.
Thanks. I'll think about it.
Wonderful.
Good. That's all we ask for.
Ma let out another exaggerated sniffle. It didn't take a genius to realize it was fake.
First Elizabeth and now you, Susan? Do you have to grow up? Yes, children tend to do that from time to time.
Your parents quickly absorbed in their conversation about rearing kids. You took that as your cue to leave, getting up so you could spend some time alone in your room too. They let you go without problems, so you made your way up the stairs. You let her outside when she stepped into the living room. It was just as sweltering as it was in the living room, probably even a little warmer. You couldn't even open your window since it was hotter outside and you just let the AC out. You dragged your feet as you crossed the room. You checked your current sweltering condition in the mirror as you passed it. You thought back up to the conversation you had downstairs, about growing up and all that. After a moment, you stepped a bit closer to the mirror. You stared into it, then turned away from the surface to look down at yourself. You were definitely growing, alright. It was weird thinking about how you were now in comparison to what you'd been when you were younger. When it came to your body, it was chubby. You shifted to the side, your head still facing forward and continuing the self-evaluation from this viewpoint. At birth, you were assigned female and you already had noticeable boobs.
Okay then.
Again, this is where they all get the whole, the whole customized with gender thing. This is why these guys are LGBT friendly.
Fair enough.
There was no mistaking it, even with your shirt helping to obscure your form, you had boobs now. Your fingers brushed over your cheeks as you stared at the freckles dusting your features. It was as if they quadrupled in the summertime with all the extra sun. You took a step backward, finishing with your impromptu inspection. You locked eyes with your reflection, cocking your head to the side. All things considered, you didn't look too bad. A slight smile tugged at your mouth. Sure, maybe you weren't a model or anything, but you weren't half bad. You shook your head roughly, putting thoughts what you were turning into out of your mind. This wasn't the time to focus on such things. You had to find something to do in this heat. You shuffled over to your bed, collapsing onto the mattress, your brows scrunched up in thought. Time passed slowly, and to your annoyance, possible ideas about what to do were few and far between. You weren't sure how long it had been, but eventually you heard your mom call you from downstairs. Susan! There's a call for you! Cole wants to come over! Is that alright? You perked up at the words, sitting up in your bed. You yelled back to her immediately.
Yeah!
You got to your feet and headed downstairs, eager to see your friend. You needed to go downstairs soon anyway because your empty stomach told you it was almost time for lunch. Just as you reached the bottom of your stairs, you saw Mom put the phone back on the receiver. She glanced at Mom leaning her hip against the kitchen counter.
What a pickle.
Well, here comes trouble. We better prepare ourselves. Ma clicked her tongue in clear disapproval of Mom's words. He's such a good boy. Code never wants to cause trouble. He can just be a bit thoughtless and impulsive. Oh, I know he's very sweet, but that's what makes him more of a problem. If a stranger or if some kid from school was egging Susan on to behave badly, I think we can both agree that she'd do the right thing in the end. But if Cove holding on to a reckless mood and wanted Susan to be a part of the ride, can we really be certain what calls she make then?
Yes.
Yes, we can, Pamela. Susan would do whatever Cove wanted.
Lonnie.
Your mom giggled freely at Mom's reaction. You worry too much about those two together. Look, all I'm saying is that I haven't forgotten what on that time they were kids and tried to run away together. Ma just laughed as she turned away, still snorting. Her eyes met yours. She blinked in surprise, then winked at you with an easy grin. Mom looked over, noticing you at the foot of the stairs as well.
Oh.
Oh, I didn't expect you to come down already, Susan. I just wanted to let you know what was happening.
You pretended you didn't overhear their conversation.
Yeah, it's okay. I just got here.
From the way Mom and Ma exchanged amused glances, you got the feeling they didn't believe you. Thankfully, they didn't correctly accuse you of lying.
Sure. Well, we'll just get out of the way. You and Cove take care.
You couldn't help but flush when Ma winked. Mom elbowed her, even as a smile tugged at her lips. Honestly, this lady... Your moms whispered among themselves as they went down the hall. Eventually, you heard the faint sound of their bedroom door shutting. Now you were alone in the living room, tasked with waiting for Cove. And that was just fine with you. If it hadn't been so hot outside, you would have visited him at his house a long time ago. You took a seat at the kitchen counter and settled in for the wait. As expected, there was a knock on the door a few minutes later. When you got up and answered it, your neighbor was standing on the other side. He came in once you stepped aside to let him pass, giving a little wave. You greeted him as you typically did.
My dad.
You stepped in your arms and relaxed seconds after. One would think you'd be used to your hugs after all these years.
Hey.
His voice was cracked as he struggled to say something. You didn't feel worried about that. It was how he usually reacted when you were close by. Cove sighed and wiped his face a bit. You noticed a sheen of sweat across his brow. You must be glad to be back in an air-conditioned place, even if he only had to walk across the street to get here.
Is something going on? Why'd you want to come over?
I don't want to do anything. I want it like this.
He gestured vaguely to the humid air hanging around.
So...
Thought I could at least do nothing with you.
You thought that was really sweet. His words were nice and expressed real fondness for you in a strange sort of way, which was usually the case with Cove.
Have you had lunch yet? I was gonna do it soon.
He shook his head.
Not really. I haven't really felt like eating because of the heat. I probably should have lunch. I didn't have breakfast this morning.
Great, we can eat lunch together.
Cove nodded, looking intent with your suggestion.
Okay, cool.
As one, you headed into the kitchen. You crossed your arms as you glanced around, wondering what you should scrounge up for a meal.
I don't want anything that's warmed up. Is there something cold or not cooked?
Yeah?
After a bit of back and forth, the two of you concluded you should raid the fridge and cabinet in order to make sandwiches. With that settled, you planned to decide on the outside layers first. There's a wide variety to choose from since everyone in your house had their own favorites. There was white bread, wheat bread, sourdough, mixed grain, gluten-free bread, and pita pockets.
Hey. Could you take the grain one for me?
Sure.
You reached for the mixed grain, then made your decision.
Good game. What?
White bread. You pulled out the white bread too, setting both items onto the counter. Then you had to decide what the main direction the sandwich would go in. You want to make a truly savory style sandwich. Something savory would make it feel like a real meal. As for the specific ingredients, so many things. Ham slices, turkey slices, pickles, Cheddar cheese. Move on to condiments. For the finishing touch, you intend to top your sandwich with mayonnaise. And that's it. You nod to yourself with a quiet hum, satisfied. The two of you bustled around the kitchen, opening, closing things in order to collect everything you needed for your individual sandwiches. You focused intently on assembling your own for the most part. When you were close to being done, though, you glanced over at your neighbor. Cole was putting his sandwich together delicately, his brow furrowed and tongue sticking out just barely. There were open jars of peanut butter and honey near his plate, as well as a banana peel. So he was making a peanut butter, banana, and honey sandwich on mixed green bread. That sounded great. Maybe you could have had one for maybe you'd have one for yourself a different time. Curiously sauteed, you turned back to your plate and finished your own creation. By the time you were done, Cole had already cleaned up his workstation. He turned to face you, studying your sandwich briefly. A small smile tugged at the corners of his mouth. He guessed it didn't look inedible, to him at least.
Done?
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
You waited as you quickly returned the ingredients and cleaned a few utensils. Then you collected your respective plates. You both agreed upon heading upstairs to hang out in your room. You and Cove entered your bedroom while balancing your food on the plates. Nothing fell, so it was a successful trip. Cove took a seat on the ground, stretching out on the hardwood floor in an attempt to be a bit cooler. He immediately took a big bite of his sandwich, chewed, then hummed happily.
Sandwich is really good. At least that's something.
At this point, you sat down and started on your own sandwich. You nodded. You were enjoying yours too. Obviously, you're a pro at making sandwiches. He leaned back on his hand while chewing and glanced around. His every movement was sluggish.
Wanna do something?
It seemed the plan of not doing anything at all had already worn thin, despite his lack of enthusiasm.
Like what?
He rolled his head back, looking up at the ceiling.
What about Hangman?
He thought it was a nice idea. He put your plate to the side and pulled out some markers and scrap paper. As you laid everything on the floor, he scooted back to make more room in front of you. Cole picked up one of the markers with his right hand while keeping a half slice of sandwich in his left.
That's,
Can I pick the phrase?
Go ahead, I don't mind.
He smiled briefly before he bent over the paper and began sketching the hangman frame. Then he stopped, pursing his lips in thought. He tapped the end of his marker against his cheek. You watched silently as Cole looked down at the paper, up at your face, and off to the side in a loop. His marker kept tapping his cheek the entire time. He raised an eyebrow. He suggested a game and went on to pick the phrase, but it looked like he didn't actually have anything in mind for it. Finally, he put the empty lines of the paper to signify spots for the letters.
Alright, we can start guessing.
Okay. You peered over. His secret phrase consisted of 3 words. The first 2 had 3 letters, and the last had 4. You thought hard about what your first guess would be. You actually get to have to type it. I'm gonna go with the vowel. Let's go with you. Oh.
Got one.
After the first round, you're about to take another bite of your sandwich when a thought occurred to you.
I wonder if anyone turned off the TV downstairs.
Huh?
The TV. It was on earlier, but no one was really watching. Then everyone started leaving the living room. I know I didn't turn it off. It might still be on downstairs with no one there.
Cove smiled crookedly at that.
oh.
Or shell. Playing with no one around to enjoy it. What was it?
Squinted off into the middle of the distance, trying to recall the show's name.
Felt like it was some kind of crime-solving drama.
Cove nodded sleepily, his eyes closed and opened again with some effort.
Can you give me any specifics? Maybe I can guess it.
Well,
You rested your chin in your open palm, groggily thinking as hard as you could.
I remember there was a woman with long, blonde hair, I think. She was the one solving crimes, like, as a detective or something. There were scenes in a police station because someone got arrested.
He lapsed into the silence, the both of you thoughtful. Then Cove chuckled. It wasn't that funny, but he joined in the laughter anyway.
I don't know.
I don't know what that is.
Me either, and I just saw it.
deal.
Let's try another vowel. A? Oh.
Good guessing. Oh, I think I know what it is.
Another round came and went, and Cole grumbled as he readjusted himself. His features were twisted in grimace.
Ugh, feels so sticky. I'm gonna be stuck to this floor forever now.
You can be my new roomie if you want.
He smiled slightly at your joking suggestion.
I wouldn't be so happy.
You couldn't help but smile too now that you thought about it. Being roommates with Cove would be fun. Then he returned to the game. Let's do another vowel. E?
Yep, that's right.
Cove spoke up once more, catching your attention. He was peering down at the piece of paper between you, his expression thoughtful.
You know, Hangman's kind of a creepy game. Why did people come up with it? Why did they play it?
I'll have to look it up later.
Maybe.
Maybe I'll do that too.
That said, the two of you turned your attention back to the game. Pretty sure there's an O in here.
It's another one.
By this point, Cove finished his sandwich. Yours was almost gone too, but now you were getting thirsty. You brought it up to your neighbor.
Should we go downstairs to get some drinks?
I was thinking that too, but I don't really want to get up.
Me either.
You looked over at him, narrowing your eyes with false suspicion.
Wait, but hey, what happened to you not being able to get up ever because you were stuck to the floor?
That's still true. I mean, we're not actually going, are we? I only thought.
You rolled your eyes and dropped the issue, defeated. Cove grinned a little at your disappointment over his victory. Pretty sure that's a U. There's a Y in here.
You're really close.
I think I know what this is.
Yep.
Is it E?
Yep.
I thought it was UA blue. No.
You're definitely good.
T? You are cute. That was the phrase that Cove would spend so long settling on. You stared at it. A few correct letters in, you had a feeling you already knew what the phrase was. Still, you felt butterflies in your stomach and seeing it clear as day on the paper. You took in the words a moment longer, then you looked up at Cove. You had trouble meeting your shocked gaze. A smile settling awkwardly on his lips. His next words left him in a mumble.
Oh my god.
I
It
mean,
was all I could think of at the time.
Aw.
Jeez.
You wrapped your arms around him. It was instinct. You leaned over and wrapped your arms around him in a hug.
No, you're cute.
Cove smiled a bit more, clearly still feeling awkward about the move he pulled. He turned away from you, his cheeks tinted pink. A moment passed between the two of you. Now would be the perfect time to change the subject, but you didn't. He didn't either. Things started feeling a bit more personal all of a sudden. You looked into Cove's ocean eyes and saw yourself staring back.
Wait, you can see the ocean in there?
Did you mean it? Do you really think I'm cute?
Cove didn't crack a smile or tell you he was joking. He just firmly kept his gaze.
Yeah.
Finally, he broke the eye contact.
I heard at some point you're supposed to start liking types of people. Guys or girls or whatever.
I don't know.
I haven't really noticed that yet. Nothing's changed. Not in a big way. For everybody. We have to grow up more. At least with...
You waited, but he trailed off. He wasn't going to keep talking. He frowned, a little disappointed. He wished he had continued with what he was saying. He shook off the strangeness of the situation and tried to be supportive.
Maybe you just don't like anybody, or maybe you like all types of people. That's normal too.
Cove seemed to appreciate the thought, if the smile that appeared on his lips was any indication. But the expression was quick to disappear. He peered over at you, looking nervous.
Okay. What about you? What kind of guy or person do you like?
He winced and seemed to be mentally kicking himself for saying it like that. He considered his question carefully. Did you know who or what you liked? Hmm. Special cases. Specific cases. But specifically, when it felt to how I came towards boys. Happy to be with the guy. How you felt towards girls. Weren't interested. For people who aren't exclusively male or female. Physically, I'm more happy to have a relationship with someone non-binary. You turned your attention to Cove. He was waiting patiently for your response. You explained how you felt to Cove. You listened intently, taking every word as you tried to convey how you felt. He definitely perked up a bit when he mentioned having some interest in romantic relationships. Then he scratched the back of his head, sheepish.
I'm not really sure who you're talking about, but when we started out just playing Hangman, it was good. Think?
I think so too.
Cove chuckled a little bashfully. He glanced around, clearly scrambling for something else to say.
So, have you written anything new recently?
Yeah, actually, I'm really glad you brought it up.
The conversation took a lighter turn after that, then it felt like he got closer that afternoon. Finally, the blazing sun began to set. To your relief, the air cooled down a bit as a result. You pulled yourself off the floor, as did Cove, with some minor complaint. You both stretched your arms, groaning, and yawned into your hands. You glanced out your window briefly, taking in the soft reds, pinks, and purples of the late afternoon sky. Somehow you made it through the scorching hot day in one piece. Cove turned towards you, motioning towards your window with his chin.
We go outside? It might be better out there than it is here now.
Sounds good. I could really use some fresh air.
Two, you took your time heading downstairs. You stopped briefly to grab a drink of water, then continued on your way. You stepped outside, and one after the other, your destination began being the familiar hills behind your house. Time of day, it was quiet outside. The flowers blew gently in the wind, petals trembling but stubbornly hanging in there. You felt the breeze cool your heated skin, and you relaxed your shoulders. Cove closed his eyes, releasing a deep breath.
I really love it out here.
I do too.
Cove smiled, tendrils of his hair danced with the wind. A beat passed, but his gaze didn't stray from your own. His voice was impossibly soft when he spoke up again.
Susan.
Glad I met you, Susan. You're really important to me, you know.
Cute.
You're special to me, Cove.
Your voice came out equally delicate, and the way his speech was Brian, though, you knew he heard you. And Cove reached down and held your hand without another word.
There, I got the mosquito.
Even as the sun disappeared completely and the sky darkened, you and Cove remained side by side for as long as you possibly could.
Oh, okay.
That felt like a long one. Ugh. What did you think of that one?
Interesting.
Did you like how they have all those little romance moments in there with the whole what you're into and all that?
Oh, absolutely. Just gonna link this and animate in another chat I'm in, just because.
Just to go to show you how good the, just goes to show you how cute the, how big of an LGBT rep this game has.
Oh,
Oh,
absolutely.
oh, that's cute.
The what?
Oh, I just saw the caption. Oh my god.
That's why I was laughing. Like, really?
What time is it? It's already 8 o'clock. Hang on, I gotta check something quick. When is, I gotta see when he is gonna be live. Hold on.
Imagine it shouldn't be too much longer.
Talking about a certain blue-haired boy. Not till 10 o'clock, okay. We're good then. Did he go live yet? He did. Okay. Want to do one more moments, then we'll continue the next time?
Sure.
Let's go with family next.
Okay.
Ugh, excuse me. The sun warmed your skin from its place in the sky, and you closed your eyes, enjoying the mix of heat with the pleasant breeze that drifted past you. You and Lee had spread out a blanket on top of one of the hills behind your house and had been relaxing there for a while now. Lee had come over earlier in the day, while a range of activities had been discussed, from staying home to heading down to the beach. A picnic on the hill had been your choice to you both settled on. A small spread was laid out in front of you, some bottled water, soft drinks, as well as chips and sliced fruit. You sat up, reached for a snack, listening to Lee talk away about the musical she had gone to see a few days ago.
It was unbelievable. They were singing, dancing, and crazy stunts. It was all done live right in front of my face. Maybe one day we could go together. I've gotta see more shows like that.
You smiled at Lee's enthusiasm, knowing how much she enjoyed her singing and performing. And she was good at it, too. You got the chance to hear her sing a couple of tunes, and you knew she put a lot of effort into it. You also liked to sing and had a talent of your own. It was nice the two of you could share that interest.
I wonder, maybe if we could put on our own show? Think how fun it'd be. We could perform for our parents and ask our friends, some other people to come and watch it too. It'd totally work.
Sure, I'll give it a go. It wasn't something you had really thought about before, but if Lee wanted to do it, then you could at least give it a shot. Lee clapped in excitement and bounced on the balls of her feet, beyond happy you were on board with her idea.
I'm gonna sing. Do you want it too? Or maybe do something else?
I'll sing too.
Cool! We'll perform an incredible duet. Is there anything else that's coming to your head?
One more thing. I'll make a backdrop or some kind of stage.
Yeah, that'd make it a real show.
I'll draw something. You had an art kit at home full of colored pencils and markers that you could use to create a piece for the show. You just told there'd be a large enough piece of paper or cardboard for a backdrop.
Is there anything else that's coming to your head?
No, that's all. The two of you ran back to your house to grab the supplies you needed, dodging your mom's amused questions before heading back out to the blanket to get started. You spread a large sheet of paper out in front of you and began imagining a backdrop of your scene for the show. Lee and you discussed the plans in detail, settling on a song first, then practicing out parts for the show. The afternoon passed quickly, the sun dropping lower and lower into the sky, and after having thoroughly worked on how the show was going to go, you decided to take a break.
Oh! You know, we should have invited Cope to come watch us practice our show. He could tell us if it's bad before we put on the real thing.
That's smart.
We should ask him to watch us later. Okay. So bad Derek isn't in the neighborhood today. I like him.
Yeah, he's a good person.
I knew you'd think so. But, speaking of boys we like, what's the relationship status between you and Cove? Is it good?
Yeah, that's good.
I'm so happy for you! But, like really, are you gonna be telling him you have a crush on him anytime soon, or what?
I'll tell him soon.
I hope so. You know he's totally into you too. I guarantee it.
You didn't say anything, wondering about the possibilities instead. The two of you talked a little more about Cove, amongst other topics, and you found out that it was nice having someone to speak with about these sort of things.
Oh my gosh, I just realized this. Lee kind of resembles Ariel a bit, doesn't she?
Kind of, yeah. Finally, both decided to pack everything up and head back home for the evening. Lee talked excitedly about the show as you did, and you thought back on what you had already accomplished for it. You could definitely do with a little more practice, but what you had so far was a solid foundation for the performance. Upon walking through the front door, you were met by your moms and Elizabeth hovering around each other in the living room. Tension hung thick in the air as the three of them turned to you, and Lee frowned slightly. You had interrupted something. Exactly what? You weren't sure.
What's going on?
Your moms looked at each other, wondering which one of them was going to speak first. Eventually, Mom cleared her throat and spoke.
Oh.
We were just having a talk with your sister. The room fell quiet again, but with no one knowing what to say, you felt incredibly awkward, but the silence didn't last long.
You don't have to stop. Just because those two are here, there's no reason to try keeping it a secret.
Elizabeth was mad with her arms folded defensively over her chest, but your mom's not in agreement with her.
Well,
Elizabeth was asking about her parents. Her biological ones. The world spun around at the news. He couldn't understand. Why was this happening now? When he glanced at Lee, she shuffled her feet uncomfortably as though she didn't know if she should be there or not anymore. You didn't know either. Your moms had always been open and honest about the fact that neither of them have given birth to you or your sister, but the details hadn't been fully explained before. It made sense that Elizabeth didn't know a lot about her biological parents and wanted to know more. You just hadn't ever thought you'd accidentally stumble into it. Elizabeth looked at your parents expectantly. She wasn't going to let unintentional interruptions derail things.
We don't want to keep that information from either of you. It's your right to know your past, but we didn't want to wait until you asked us to hear yourselves. Well, it's happening now, so...
Your mom shared a nervous glance, and Ma took in a quick breath before speaking again.
I adopted you from the Philippines when you were just a baby.
Elizabeth dropped her arms, her eyebrows shooting upward in surprise.
Wait, I wasn't born here?
no.
No, you weren't. You could clearly see that your sister was appalled by this information. You struggled even more with what to do or how to react.
Am I gonna have to pass some test to even become a citizen?
No.
No, you were adopted into the country. We took care of things. You're already a citizen. You have nothing to worry about. I followed all the laws when it came to bringing a child into the U.S. Nothing can be held against you. Elizabeth sighed, placated with the information, but still far from happy.
Who are my parents? As people? Why did they put me up for adoption in the first place?
Ma softly put her hands over Elizabeth's shoulder, trying to provide some support before she gave her the answer.
I am so sorry.
I'm so sorry, sweetie. Your parents were reported to have died. They didn't go into details on the specifics of how, but you were an orphan. I wish we had better news for you, Elizabeth. Elizabeth was torn between emotions, her eyes filled with tears as she threw her hands in the air, settling on enraged.
Great. So I can never meet them, even if I wanted to. Not that I could have anyway, since they lived in another part of the world when they were still alive.
Elizabeth turned her back on you and your moms and stormed off, sprinting up the stairs to her room before anyone could stop her. I have to go and talk to her. Ma immediately started to follow her, but Mom gently held her by the arm and shook her head. We should give her a little space to process it all. Your Ma's head hung low, but she stopped walking. With Elizabeth now gone, the two of them seemed to remember you and Lee were still standing awkwardly off to the side.
I'm sorry I had to see all that. It's not how I expected it would have happened when the time came. But since it's the topic of the day, Susan, is there anything you'd like to ask? You deserve to know, after all.
Lee patted your back and gave you a supportive look.
I want to know.
Your parents both nodded and synced your reply, ready to talk.
I can leave if you want to have things be private.
I want you to be here.
I can do that.
Lee shifted a little closer to you in support, and you were glad to have her there with you. It made you feel a little stronger somehow. You turned to face your parents again, preparing yourself for whatever they were about to tell you. Ma was the first to speak, her voice quivering with emotion.
You were adopted as a baby, but 2 years after Elizabeth. We used a different organization that time, and you were adopted within the U.S.
We're so sorry to tell you, Susan. Your parents had also passed away, and no other family member took you in, if there were any. That's why we wanted to wait until you asked. We didn't want to suddenly drop that in your lap. We wanted you to be prepared.
I'm sorry.
We're so sorry, Susan. They gave you a reassuring squeeze on the arm to show that she was there for you. You started to cry. A lump formed in your throat as warm tears started falling over your cheeks. You wiped them away with the back of your hand, sniffling quietly.
Thank you for listening, Susan. If there's anything else you want to know, all you have to do is ask. We'll do our best to answer any questions you have.
Are you okay?
How are you feeling now? Are you going to be okay?
Lee watched you closely, as though judging how exactly she should react to what's going on. You continued to cry. Her eyes were swollen from the tears, but you just couldn't find any to stop more from falling. Your mom's looked just as sad, as though the tears might start for them at any moment. No one seemed to have any words after that. You wanted to see Cove. More than anything, in the moment you wanted to see Cove, no one could be there for you in any way he could. You turned your heels on another word and headed towards the front door. The east footstep echoed behind and you knew she was following you.
Can you stay, Lee? I want to go by myself.
Oh.
Oh, okay. I'll wait for you here, but I really hope you be alright, Susan.
Once outside, you stroll across the street purposefully, Cove's house set on your sights. After you raised a hand and knocked on the door, it only took a few moments for Mr. Holden to answer it, giving you a broad smile. Cliff's face fell suddenly. He could tell something was wrong, but he didn't say anything else. Instead, he looked back towards the hallway where you knew Cove's room was located.
Cove, Susan is here.
After calling for his son, he turned back to you with an encouraging thumbs up.
He won't be long.
As promised, it didn't take long before footsteps echoed down the hall, and Cove's head of green hair appeared before you all. He looked ahead to see you standing there, and when his eyes widened, you guessed that he had noticed you'd been crying.
Susan.
Cove pushed past his dad to stand with you outside the door, watching you with concern etched all over his face.
You kids be safe. If you need anything, you know where to find me.
He gave you a kind smile before softly shutting the front door, giving you some privacy. Cove stepped closer still and spoke cautiously.
What's wrong?
Yeah, that.
There's a lot going on right now.
I kind of thought so. Do you want to tell me more?
My parents were born before my mom's. Died when I was a baby. Moms didn't say how. Maybe they don't know. But there wasn't any other family I could live with, so that's why I got adopted.
Without having to say anything else, Cove reached down and pulled you into a tight embrace, his familiar warmth enveloping you.
I'm sorry, Susan.
His words whispered comfortably into your shoulder. You started to cry. You pressed your face into the crook of his neck, unable to stop the tears. Then the hold he had on you tightened.
Can we talk somewhere else?
You felt uncomfortable huddled around the entrance of Cove's house. That feeling didn't seem to be a problem, though.
Yeah.
Cove took you by the arm and encouraged you along behind him. You followed without protest. You headed towards the hills where you and Lee had spent the majority of your day. Things seemed so different then. Only a couple of hours ago, you wondered how everything had changed so drastically. You took a seat on the grass beside Cove, who bent his legs and rested his arms on them before he turned to you again.
Can you explain everything to me?
You nodded softly before taking in a heavy breath and launching into the story. Cove sat quietly, listening attentively, nodding every now and then or taking in a sharp inhale. It took a long time for you to relay the details. Dozens of stars were pinpointed in the sky as the night wore on. Silence fell between you and Cove, as Cove sat quietly for a moment, contemplating everything you had said. When he finally spoke, his voice was quiet, drifting through the night towards you.
Susan. I'm so sorry.
I'm really sorry about what happened to your parents. So sorry.
He stopped suddenly and took in a deep, shaky breath, and you got the impression he was struggling with what was right to say.
I'm sad I'll never get to know them. I'll never find out what they're doing or what they're like as people. It's just all gone.
Susan.
Susan, you're not doing anything wrong. You know that, right? Think that you can be as sad as you want, or as long as you need. Or you can feel okay about it whenever you want to.
He sighed and ran a hand through his hair as he looked out over the ocean.
It's okay.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, whatever you feel about is how you feel about it. You don't have to force yourself to be different.
Thank you, Cove.
His words had made you feel better, and you knew that was true. You didn't have to apologize or make any excuses for the way you felt about it. Cove smiled at you a little, and you could tell he was trying to be comforting.
And your mom's definitely coming. Doesn't matter if you're not blood related. You're definitely family. I can see that. And I hope you can too.
You felt the reassurance in his eyes. You stayed up on the hill a little longer, looking out over the ocean and the stars that shone brightly above it. After talking about the situation with someone who wasn't directly a part of it, you started to see things in a different light. Above all, you were glad to have Cove's support, and to know you could count on him if you needed it. Hey! The sound of voice of your sister behind you made you jump. You saw her standing a little away. She walked closer and you didn't quite know what to do or what she was planning on saying.
So?
Would you mind going? I want to talk to just Susan. You can come back. It's not going to be forever or anything. Cole seemed equal parts concerned and skeptical. Leaving now wasn't a concept that had thrilled him.
I want to talk to you too.
Really?
Oh, then we're on the same page. She made a little move along gesture with her hands and it was settled. You waited until the two of you were alone before fixing her with an inquisitive look. Elizabeth folded her arms, looking you over. Did Moms tell you about your parents too?
My birth parents also died.
Elizabeth rolled eye contact after that.
Sorry.
Why did you want to talk to me?
Elizabeth raised an eyebrow at the question, as though the answer should be obvious. Well, I was worried about you. I was the one who brought it up, but I made you deal with whatever was left when I was gone. She sighed, glancing upward for a moment before settling in on you once more. I wanted to ask you what happened without everyone breathing down our necks. Thank you for thinking of me. She stuck up her nose a little at that, but her smile was soft.
All this... it upset me.
She slipped back into a scowl. I'm sorry, Susan. It's a pretty depressing topic.
Yeah.
You had to be born in the U.S. to become president.
What?
You had never heard of that dream come of hers before. She noticed your befuddlement and continued.
I get I was never gonna be president, but it just feels weird having stuff taken away, not even giving a chance at it. I don't like having to know what when I was born was gonna have a completely different life. So different I can't even think about what it took like in my head. I could have spoken another language, lived away from everything I'd ever seen here, had someone else as my sibling, and then my parents died. I was adopted, and the life I got became a totally new thing forever. I can't go back to what it was like even if I wanted to. A heaviness fell between you and the person who became your sister. I feel like that too. I can't stop wondering what my life would have been like if I wasn't adopted. There are so many things that could have been different.
Elizabeth watched you seriously. She was still trying to make sense of this to you and herself. I don't know why today was the day. Nothing came up to make me ask the question. It was just something I've had in my head for a while. It was just me and Mom's living in the living room. I just kind of said it finally, and there you go. She shifted from one foot to another, relaxing her stance just a bit. She also spoke more gently. Learning about them and what happened doesn't change how I feel about our family, Susan. She smirked, fixing you with sharp eyes. I already figured out a long time ago that Moms weren't our biological parents. That wasn't news. He kept listening to Elizabeth. Nothing about the family I was first born in would have made me decide that this wasn't my family anymore. If you had hoped to be free of my big sisterly status, don't think you're so lucky. She bumped her shoulder against yours playfully, her lips tilted at the corners.
You'll always be my little sister.
You hugged her. It took a few seconds, but she gave you a quick squeeze in return.
You'll always be my family too.
Chuckling, she seemed pleased with how the conversation had gone in the end.
Ready to head back home? It's been a long day.
You gave her a nod.
Come on.
Come on, you two. Let's go. You walked home
Yes.
together in a comfortable silence down the well-worn street. The familiarity of it all felt nice. When you stepped through the door, you found your moms quietly sitting together at the kitchen table. Her head snapped up and they got to their feet to meet you, Ma giving you a careful smile.
Oh, we're so glad to see you. Everything's alright. That's wonderful, sweetheart. Really wonderful.
Ma then came over and wrapped her arms around you and Elizabeth, giving you a tight hug, It didn't take long for Mom to join in, putting her arms around the both of you.
Love you.
Yep.
Love you.
We really couldn't have asked for better kids. We love you. More than we could ever say.
Aw.
Moms! He smiled at their comfort.
I love you too.
It was a nice moment. You enjoyed it for as long as you could. They both pulled back and eventually grinned at the two of you, and you knew that you all had each other, and you always would.
Hey, I hope you're alright.
Lee came up towards you, a soft smile plastered on her face.
And are you okay, Elizabeth?
Elizabeth rolled her eyes and huffed a breath, as you knew she wasn't used to showing her vulnerable side.
Fine.
I'm doing fine. Lee nodded, though you could tell she wasn't she didn't quite believe her.
Well now, since we're all here, how about you do something together as a family?
That sounds like an excellent idea. We should have some fun before the night's over.
Totally! I love the sound of that.
Okay.
Cove looked a little bashful, likely for being included as a part of the family, but he tried not to pay much attention to it.
Why not?
You hid the smile that threatened you to tilt your lips, knowing that Elizabeth must have been in a good mood. She hadn't even teased Cove for being a part of it. And no matter what she could have said about it, you wanted him to be here. He was someone who was really important to you.
Who's got a suggestion? It should be something we can do here in the house, everyone in the same room.
Suddenly remembered you and Lee had been working on earlier.
Maybe we could do our show.
Oh?
A show? This is the first time we're hearing of this. I'm intrigued.
Wonderful.
Would be amazing if you put it on for us to watch.
Oh yeah, I need to see what you've cooked up.
That'd be cool.
You smiled at Lee, who returned the gesture while bouncing on her heels in excitement.
Take some seats and we'll get everything together.
Your moms collected the chairs from around the dining table and set them in a row in the living room where there was enough space for the show. When they did that, you and Lee quickly gathered the supplies you needed and rehearsed the plan one last time. You listened through the song you had chosen one last time. The backdrop you prepared earlier was also ready to go now that it was needed. When the two of you returned to the living room, everyone was sitting and chatting amongst themselves while they waited. The group quieted down when you and Lee stood in front of them on your makeshift stage. Lee was buzzing quietly with excitement beside you. You felt nervous all of a sudden. No matter how small the audience was, it was still all eyes on you.
Okay, so welcome to our show. We only came up with the day, but we promise it'll be good. Thank you for being here tonight.
Your moms gave a thumbs up in encouragement ready for the performance. Then you nodded at Lee that you were ready to begin. Lee took a sharp breath, waiting for the few beats to get into the song, and started singing. You were part of the song and joined in just a few moments later, and you smiled at each other as you sang together. The backdrop you created gave a great atmosphere to work off of. When the performance was over, Lee took your hand in hers and the two of you bowed deeply together. Everyone gave a round of applause and cheered for an encore. You straightened yourself up, and you were happy to see that even Elizabeth was clapping for you.
Bravo! Bravo!
Good job.
You are so talented.
Your family rose from their seats and came over to congratulate you more directly. You were beaming from ear to ear. Cole was the first one to approach, stepping up to you and Lee with a smile on his face.
It's nice.
Nice job.
Thank you.
You're a really great singer, Susan. It was cool.
Thanks.
Welcome. Hey, were you the one who drew the backdrop?
Yeah, that was me.
Cole smiled, content over his guess being correct.
Not bad.
I thought so. It was good.
You couldn't help but feel flattered that you could recognize your talents so easily. Your parents gushed about how great everything was and thanked you for sharing it with them. Elizabeth was complimentary in her own way, although she described the show as cute, which you knew she meant by as kind of kitty. You laughed it off, however, and just happy to have everyone had a nice time. In that moment, you couldn't have been more pleased to be a part of the family you had. And there was that.
Okay.
That's personally one of my favorite ones. Just because it gives you a pass of the characters.
I can understand that.
Whew. Man, we're about 2.5 hours in. I think we did good today. Feels like
Yeah.
these moments are getting longer, but then again, we did do the prologue, so
Yeah, the prologue was longer than like the last time, I think. Like, that's crazy.
yeah. Let me just go ahead and quit the game. I have off tomorrow, so maybe we can do some more if I feel like it.
Alright, I know after tomorrow, after my laundry, I'll probably be streaming.
Okay. Hang on, I'm just checking something. No.
Yeah.
Just a Twitch message. Alright. We didn't have much of a crowd tonight, but it's okay. This is kind of a long game, so. Alright. But as promised, we go raid Harutoki because he's doing his, subathon. And we need to be there for him to support him. Let me get the raid message. It looks like he's playing some Gardic phone right now. So if you're into that, there's your options, guys. And let me get the emotes. Boop, 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 boop. Also, probably in the next week or so, I'll also probably be discussing like what I want to do for my birthday, since it is going to be next month. Also, streams are probably going to be on hold from the, let me see, from the 15th to the 28th, because Little League is happening soon, so I'm going to be very busy with that, because work, this hotel work, and I might be trying to catch a game if I get a lucky day off. Only hope. Anyways, thank you all for joining me today, and until next time, I'm Susan, from my boyfriend and I. Thanks for watching! Bye!
Take care.